from Pasadena, California. Brought to you in stereo surround sound. This is KTLA's coverage of the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade. Hosted by Bob Eubanks and Stephanie Edwards. And brought to you by the Toyota dealers of Southern California, whose cars and trucks are recognized leaders in initial quality. Get more for your money and see them today. GTE Directories is a proud sponsor of the Tournament of Roses Parade. Coca-Cola, have a happy and healthy new year from your local Coca-Cola bottlers. Lucky Stores wishes you a happy new year and welcomes everyone to the parade. Lucky, the low price leader every day. U-Ban Coffee, made from 100% Colombian beans. U-Ban, taste the spirit of coffee. Southern California Edison. We're proud of again having the only electric-powered float in the history of the parade. Chevrolet, who invites you to see all the new Chevy cars for 1994. And now, from the start of the parade at the corner of Orange Grove and Colorado, here are Stephanie and Bob.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Bob Eubanks.
Along with Stephanie Edwards. Good morning, everybody.
And here we are, high above Colorado Boulevard, to bring you the very best coverage of this, the 1994 Tournament of Roses Parade.
You've just heard the police sirens go by. Everything's going well so far. This is Channel 5, KTLA's 48th consecutive coverage of the Tournament of Roses Parade. And again, as usual, we have the best places for our cameras, wonderful stereo surround sound, and this year we are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers.
You bet we are. In fact, you have the best seat in the house because we're here to bring you the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade, so hang on.
And what a way to begin the new year on a fantastic adventure, which is the theme of this year's parade. We'll be taking you on that adventure for the next 2 hours.
We're also going to venture into prehistoric times when dinosaurs roamed the earth, as well as into the future of space travel.
And we'll delve into the mind's imagination through literature, into children's imaginations through storybooks.
And we'll adventure into the gold rush days of California's history, and into the cold, rugged Arctic region, too.
We'll experience the magic of genies and the beauty of a tropical rainforest.
And, of course, these are just a few of the things in store for us today as the Rose Parade moves down Colorado Boulevard here in Pasadena. Now, let me tell you, there are 56 floats, 22 marching bands, and 29 equestrian units in this year's parade.
And a few more stats. We know you love them. Over 125 million people will see this parade on television in the United States alone. Another 325 million people will watch it in over 90 countries.
Not only that, but 1 million people are expected to line the streets of Pasadena to watch the parade as it proceeds along its 5.5-mile route.
The Tournament of Roses has really grown since its inception in 1890.
Boy, that's the truth. You know, during some of the earlier years, the parade was followed by chariot races, which drew all of 6,500 people.
That's right. Then in 1916, the safer sport, football, became the permanent post-parade sporting event.
Well, the Tournament of Roses is now comprised of 935 volunteer members who collectively spend more than 65,000 hours each year planning and organizing this incredible event.
And we're about to show you what's in store. Here comes the band all ready to begin this parade, the Willow Ridge High School Mighty Eagle Band from Houston, Texas.
Here we go.
It's about zero, I guess,
in Wisconsin.
In their parts.
Yeah, you can hear the suitcases closing right now as they look at our telecast going, come on, Martha, let's get the heck out there. Hey, these kids are going to be tired today because the cheerleaders and the band are going to march 5.5 miles. Then they have to do the halftime show at a
Well, they're young enough to handle it. That's what I say.
We're not. They are.
Now, the Big Ten Conference Band, of course, is right behind them. The director, Michael Lockbone, has brought all these kids here by plane to play all day long.
I think it's great to have a school come here every once in a while because, you know, when you have the same teams every year, it's no fun.
Well,
it's wonderful to feel the Badger enthusiasm. Let's listen to their band. the stands, folks.
They're doing the polka. Of course they are. I was raised on the polka.
I know you were raised on the polka.
Oh, it brings me home.
I was raised on the tush push.
Yes, well, that's a different part of the country.
Oh.
Oh, this is very exciting. Look at that enormous band, 282 members of this marching band. By the way, a foundation at the University of Wisconsin has targeted this band for a $3.5 million fundraising campaign. They are
You're not proud of this part of the country, are you?
Well, listen.
Just a little partial, maybe.
I am a Midwesterner and can't help but to be a little pleased. Michael Leckrone has really put this group together in fine fettle.
I think it's so exciting to have Wisconsin here this year.
Now, 50% of this group of seniors in the band graduate with honors. So there are lots of things they're interested in Wisconsin.
Good luck to the Badgers today.
Just as they started their fight song.
The California.
We'll delve into the mind's imagination through literature, into children's imaginations through storybooks.
And we'll adventure to the gold rush days of California's history and into the cold, rugged Arctic region, too.
We'll experience the magic of genies and the beauty of a tropical rainforest.
And, of course, these are just a few of the things in store for us today as the Rose Parade moves down Colorado Boulevard here in Pasadena. Now, let me tell you, there are 56 floats, 22 marching bands, and 29 equestrian units in this year's parade.
And a few more stats. We know you love them. Over 125 million people will see this parade on television in the United States alone. Another 325 million people will watch it in over 90 countries.
Not only that, but 1 million people are expected to line the streets of Pasadena to watch the parade as it proceeds along its 5.5-mile route.
The Tournament of Roses has really grown since its inception in 1890.
Boy, that's the truth. You know, during some of the earlier years, the parade was followed by chariot races, which drew all of 6,500 people.
That's right. Then in 1916, the safer sport, football, became the permanent post-parade sporting event.
Well, the Tournament of Roses is now comprised of 935 volunteer members who collectively spend more than 65,000 hours each year planning and organizing this incredible event.
And we're about to show you what's in store. Here comes the band all ready to begin this parade. The Willow Ridge High School Mighty Eagle Band from Houston, Texas.
Here we go.
Wonderful.
Good,
I have never seen a band slow down like that at the beginning of the parade. Very effective.
Wow.
The Willow Ridge High School Mighty Eagle Band getting a marvelous response from the audience.
And by the way, speaking of the audience, there's a lot of cheese heads in the audience. There's a funny little hat. You know, Wisconsin actually will be in the Rose Bowl game this year. And they have brought with them their own special kind of hat. They're called cheese heads.
That's right.
And they're pretty fun.
We're not responsible for them.
How nice it is for our first float to be a winner. And congratulations to C.E. Bent and Michelle Lofthouse, everybody, because they won the Grand Marshal's Trophy, our fantastic adventure. At the very beginning of time, Eastman Kodak Company presents Prehistoric Journey. Now, the dinosaurs represented on this float lived during the various eras of our prehistory. The Saltosaurus, portrayed here, is believed to have inhabited parts of Argentina.
Very good. The Tyrannosaurus, the most terrifying and destructive of them all, originally lived in Asia and North America when it roamed the Earth 70 million years ago.
Wow.
The saber-toothed cat appeared 40 million years after the last dinosaur disappeared. Can you imagine all of this? And its teeth were sometimes as long as 8 inches. Goodness.
Isn't that something?
The stylized conifer trees you see here represent trees which were really fully developed during the Mesozoic era. They're the ancestor to the pine trees. There you see, yes. Oh, goodness. So much to look at. The various types of vegetation you see here began to evolve during the era that is depicted on this float. Look at the
saber-toothed tiger.
Beautiful work.
Isn't that something? Congratulations to Eastman Kodak Company. They have won the Grand Marshal's Trophy for their prehistoric journey.
Just beautiful. Scott Lamb did the floral design, and brilliantly.
Well, coming up next is one of my childhood heroes, the always popular Monty Montana, riding his 60th consecutive parade. And if there ever was an ambassador to the American cowboy, it'd have to be Monty. He was inducted into the Cowboy Hall of Fame in 1990, and this man has brought the West to children all over the world. He's got a new book called Not Without My Horse that I'm reading, and the book is just fascinating. This man has had such a great life. And believe me, if you want to pick a hero for the American cowboy, you couldn't go wrong with Monty Montana. Congratulations to Monty's 60th year.
And now you see a kindly-looking lion, part of the award-winning work on this, the Princess Trophy Award winner for the most beautiful entry under 35 feet in length from the Lions Club International, The Lion and the Lamb. So beautifully done. The lamb's woolly coat that you see there created with the use of white mums and carnation petals. The eyes are made with onion seed and seaweed. Look at the glint in that lion's eye. Wonderful
beautiful.
face, covered with sesame and onion seed. What a gorgeous face. Again, Michelle Lofthouse and Scott Lamb.
I got to tell you, I think the floats this year are magnificent. I mean, they're always great, but how'd they do it again?
I know it. It's astonishing. Now, you see a lot of pampas grass and cordon puffs used there to make that award-winning float. Gorgeous.
See a lot of American Indians, too. Our old friend, the famous Iron Eyes Cody, who for over 30 years has been making this trip down Colorado Boulevard. He first rode with cowboy star Tim McCoy in 1920s, and he is just a legend. That's all I can tell you. Saluting our friends, the American Indians, the Native Americans, is Iron Eyes Cody, and we're very happy to have him back with us.
He in the lead car. This, the Humor Trophy Award winner for the most amusing float in the parade. You'll see a couple of cows here on the loose in the in Dr. Pepper 7-Up's parade entry called Barnstorming. Wonderful work. A farmer not seeming to know what's going on while the chickens behind him seem to see what's coming. And the cows on the loose here
That's fun.
look very determined, continuing their antics over this little farm.
And the goat seems to be trying his best to stay on the wing. Looks like he might be saying his prayers up there. And the rooster has decided to parachute his way out of this whole mess. Now, most of the planes used for barnstorming in the 1920s were made of wood and cloth. This one, however, is made with bronze moms, flax millet seeds. And unlike these pilots, many of those who actually barnstormed in the 1920s were former World War I airmen. They put on death-defying shows at county fairs, flying exhibitions, and carnivals. In fact, Steph, did you know that the city of Bakersfield was named after barnstormers that used to perform out there in Bakersfield?
Excellent, excellent. The Humor Trophy Award winner.
Oh, look at them. Long Beach Mounted Posse. Aren't they something?
The Long Beach Mounted Police.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Look what's coming around the corner. If someone wants to have an adventure, how about taking a fantastic voyage in this IBM's entry in this year's Rose Parade? It won the theme trophy for best presentation of Rose Parade theme. Now look at this magnificent float. There are 6 separate animation systems used on this space station. One of them rotates the upper body of the space station 360 degrees. One will lift the entire float 40 feet into the air. Isn't that something?
Boy. And all the silver wreath that was used to make that look so shiny and metallic. It's not metal that we're looking at, you know. It's leaves, organic material.
Now, there are 2 systems that turn the solar panels individually as they seek the sun.
Getting a wonderful response from the
This
audience.
space station also comes equipped with space shuttles and a communication satellite also. Michelle Lofthouse, the designer of this entry, used some of the drawings from the JPL laboratory to come up with a design. C.E. Benton Son and IBM salute space exploration with their entry Fantastic Voyage, and the audience just loves it.
Now,
Look at this one.
The engineering, which is getting such a response, was done by Michelle's brother, Chris. So this is a family effort. Just spectacular.
It is just beautiful.
Now, we follow, as we should, the space station with Captain Kirk from Star Trek, this year's Grand Marshal, director, writer, actor, and producer, William Shatner. He's riding his prize-winning saddle horse named I Prefer Montana, and he is followed by family members and close friends riding in a 1912 Packard touring bus. We wish them all a very happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Stephanie and Bob, and may this be a very good year for all of your Channel 5 viewers. The Tournament of Roses is such a great way to kick off the new year, and I'm really glad to be part of it. Enjoy the parade.
Oh, we will. Congratulations to you, William Shatner.
How wonderful.
It's kind of neat to see our Grand Marshal riding a horse.
And the horse is doing his very best this
Yes.
morning. Quite impressive.
Little saddlebred horse. He raises these horses, I think, in Kentucky. And he also trains and shows the horses. He's a really good horseman.
They both seem very relaxed.
Very nice indeed. Well, for its 76th consecutive year in the Rose Parade, the Portland Rose Festival and Oregon Tourism Division brings us Oregon, a state of adventure. Now, this float portrays the popular water sports that one may choose to experience in the spectacular rivers that form Oregon's extensive waterways. Windsurfers on the Columbia Gorge take advantage of the 80-mile-long wind tunnel, which has constant winds of 15 to 35 miles an hour. And the kayaks, by the way, are very popular as they can right themselves if they flip over in the water. That's what I need because I can't swim.
Absolutely. 150,000 souls whitewater raft down the diverse rapids each year in the state of Oregon. The cascading water effect on this float is created with the use of blue and white iris, carnations, mums, dendrobium orchids, and the tree's bark is actually freshly cut cedar from Mount Hood.
Beautiful.
Riding the float, by the way, in the canoe, the Portland Rose Festival queen, Michaela Myers.
Pretty lady. Our thanks to the members of the Portland Rose Festival and Oregon Tourism Division. They've joined us again. We're always glad to have them back with us.
Goodness, it's beautiful, as usual.
This is the United States Marine Corps Mounted Color Guard, led by Staff Sergeant Marty Dews. All of these riders are volunteers from the Marine Corps Logistics Base at Barstow, California. And let me tell you, what's interesting about this group is they're all riding what used to be wild Mustang horses from the BLM Adopt a Horse program. In 1993, they were the winners of the Chairman's Trophy at the Cheyenne Frontier Days. And if you can believe this, they performed in over 100 shows in 1993. Proudly dressed in their dress blue uniforms, United States Marine Corps Mounted Guard.
Followed by the West Coast Composite Marine Band out of Santa Ana, California.
Gives you goosebumps, doesn't it?
Oh, Chief Warrant Officer Roxanne Haskell directing this wonderful band. They're made up of musicians from the 1st Marine Division, the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing Band, the Marine Corps Recruit Depot Band, and the Marine Corps Air Group Combat Center Band. Tremendous response. The crowd is on its feet.
Thrill it must be for the people of Wisconsin to see this parade for the first time. Well, the students of Cal Poly universities have certainly been known to use imagination in creating their float designs, and this entry called A Novel Adventure is no exception. Now, this young lady that you see up there is using her imagination to carry her over the city of on a flying carpet, while the storybook characters she's reading about come to life.
Now, the snake you see there is made with onion seed and crushed walnut shells, orange lentil,
It's quite a snake.
I should say. The flying carpet is decorated with ginkgo leaves, red carnation petals, orange lentil, asparagus ferns. The San Luis Obispo students, you know, built the front portion of the float. This is their tradition.
Yes.
And the Pomona students, the rear portion. The middle is somehow a combined effort, and they have been jointly building this Rose Parade entry and then joining it together halfway between the two campuses since 1949.
Always bring us some humor, always bring us high technology, and just a really nice float. Oh, look who's here, Steffi.
Precious.
These are the Wee Wheelers, and Mrs. Lauren Parker is the marshal of this group. Let me tell you about these little horses, and they are.
Okay,
they cannot exceed 34 inches tall at the last mane hair.
Yes.
Now, they are just a wonderful little horse, and that Lauren told us that she has one little horse that actually stands in front of her refrigerator until she opens the refrigerator to get apples out. They're just a magnificent little animal, and also Mrs. Parker said that she has one that lays on her lap and watches television
No,
with her.
no.
Now, up in the Santa Ynez Valley, there are some little miniature horse ranches, and they're so cute when you see them up there, especially in the wintertime, wearing their little blankets. They're called the Wee Wheelers, and they're very, very strong. In fact, originally they were used in the coal mines to pull the mine carts out. So for their size, they're just exceptionally strong. They're wonderful pets, and they compete with the big horses, by the way, in many competitions in the carriage divisions.
And they're always a favorite in the parade.
Aren't they cute?
People are just loving them.
The Wee
Well,
Wheelers.
bless them. Now, the ultimate adventure, Caring for Nature. This is the one that won the sweepstakes trophy for the most beautiful entry in the parade. Fiesta Parade floats, Raul Rodriguez and Jim Hind, again for FTD, did a marvelous job, challenging us to all be active stewards of the planet's living creations. High-pressure misting systems, cascading water create the environment of this Amazon rainforest. The beautiful macaws you see there covered in red poinsettia, carnations, miniature anthurium accented with green bells of Ireland. Larger-than-life toucans here created with black seaweed, which has been individually cut into feather patterns, black croton leaves and black tea leaves. Now, the tropical gardens contain orange and rainbow obachi Midori anthuriums, 6 varieties of ginger, bird of paradise, varieties of heliconia, and over 25,000 roses and catalea orchids. Beautiful depiction of our wonderful rainforest from FTD.
By the way, Steph, I want to mention on January 3rd, FTD volunteers and children from the Children's Miracle Network hospitals will collect roses and other flowers from the floats for processing into a potpourri.
Excellent. The float chassis, by the way, was specially designed to carry that beautiful thing.
Well, the Pasadena City College trumpets herald the arrival of the Rose Queen and her royal court. And this year, they were chosen from 700 initial participants to become the 76th Tournament of Roses Queen and Court.
Hi, Bob and Stephanie. I'm Queen Erica Beth Bryans from Arcadia. I'd like to welcome you and your Channel 5 viewers to the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade and present to you my royal court.
Hi, I'm Princess Nicole Rainey Bangar, South Pasadena.
Hi, I'm Princess Therese Kathleen Erdman from Arcadia.
Hi, I'm Princess Shannon Marie Hall of San Marino.
Hi, I'm Princess Sabrina Jamila Perdomo of Altadena.
Hello, I'm Princess Shannon Stacy Sheldon of San Marino.
Hi, I'm Princess Jennifer Christie Traynor of San Marino.
Aren't they lovely, though?
And
The
wonderfully
Queen
poised.
and her court. Aren't they poised? I mean, I'm always amazed. A very happy new year to all of you, the Queen and her court.
Just lovely. You know, there used to be hot water bottles available for these girls right before parade time. Someone was in charge, but I'm not sure that's allowed any longer. They implied that they're wearing long underwear under those beautiful
Implied, no, they
gowns.
just said they were. That's
Oh,
all.
did they?
You know, while we have just a moment, I want to mention something. You see the banners being carried before each float, the winners of each float, and they're being carried by the Eagle Scout and Gold Award Scouts. They're the highest ranking that can be achieved in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. The kids are between the ages of 14 and 18, and they went through an interview process by Boy and Girl Scout leaders, and they chose 58. And they practiced every Saturday in December to prepare for the parade. So our hats go off to the wonderful Scouts, the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, who carry the banner in front of all of the winners.
And they carried something very heavy during those weeks, heavier than the banners, to increase their stamina, they say.
By the way, if you're familiar with Southern California, our Rose Parade goes north on Orange Grove, then it turns east on Colorado Boulevard, and the parade route is about 5.5 miles. There's over 1 million people down there watching this parade, and every year they are just absolutely amazed at the quality, as we are.
Now you see the Pasadena City College Tournament of Roses Honor Band. This is the band's 64th consecutive performance, and they have been the official Tournament of Roses band since 1930. They perform at many of the official events. James Arnwine continues to be their director. 600 students audition for the 150 available positions in this band, and they perform specially arranged music for this event.
Bob Eubanks, Stephanie Edwards, and this is KTLA Channel 5 coverage of the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade.
Now
The
you
winner of
see-
the national trophy, Steph.
Yes, excuse me, go ahead.
This is the best depiction of life in the United States. American pioneers faced many challenging adventures crossing our vast country, and more than 12,000 wagons headed west in 1849 alone. Bringing us a taste of that adventuring spirit is the entry entitled Wagons West, and it's from the Elks. Now, the wagon on this float is designed after the Conestoga Prairie schooner. Given that name, you know why? Because of its resemblance to a sailing ship
Why, of
with its
course.
white canvas top.
Of course.
However, this top that you see is made with white mums and rolled oaks.
The American bison is created from mosses. You'll see them there. Oh, my goodness, look at that work. That's the marvelous schooner.
Now, we agreed to call them bison and not buffalo, right?
Because that's what they are, evidently. All that you see on the prairie, where you find them these days, is bison.
We couldn't say buffalo, or bison Bob and Howdy Doody.
No, it wouldn't have worked. And I guess that's why we called it buffalo, but in error. Now, cinnamon powder, Beauregard chrysanthemums, buckwheat, and firegrass are used on this float. Just astonishing. And the history, of course, which they always give us about this, is that 30 million of these mammals, the bison, inhabited the West, of course, before we settlers arrived. There are 35,000 to maybe 50,000 today due to conservation efforts.
Steph, we also couldn't say, bison girl, won't you come out tonight?
You couldn't do that. You
No.
couldn't have bison burgers either.
Or bison Bill.
You see those cacti fashioned after Arizona's saguaro, created with lemon leaf, bells of Ireland, and giant king protean.
They're
What a
still
float.
buffalo to me, guy. I want you to know
Beautiful.
that. Our next equestrian group represents the U.S. Army Fort Huachuca, Arizona. They've been with us many times before, and as you can see, they represent how it was in the 1880s. And if you've seen the movie Geronimo, you've seen actors portraying this very proud group. This unit was formed in the 1850s and helped in the development of the southwestern part of the United States. And they're dressed in their 1880s style, complete with rifles and sabers and pistols and all the gear used by the soldiers of the 1880s in the Southwest. They come to us all the way from Sierra Vista, Arizona, and we welcome back the U.S. Army unit from Fort Huachuca.
The President's Trophy is won by the float who uses the most effective presentation of flowers. Flights of Fantasy from Arco this year. The word genie comes from the Arabic, meaning to veil or conceal, but there is nothing we are concealing about this beautiful float.
Ooh, it's pretty.
Arco has won the President's Trophy Award. A children's world of imagination takes on the fantasy of this magic carpet ride under the eye of a 34-foot tall, bejeweled genie. Rotating onion domes covered with carnations, chrysanthemums, silverleaf, dendrobium orchids. Embroidered carnations, chrysanthemums, roses, and orchids create her elaborate costume.
Isn't that something, though? Float designer Raul Rodriguez has given this genie a very romantic look. Her face is done with paprika and cinnamon, and shiny lunaria and statice adorn her turban, and over 20,000 stems of orchids are used to create those wonderful blooms. By the way, the brilliant peacock feathers are done with orchids and roses and bird of paradise petals. Boy, it wins the President's Trophy for most effective use and presentation of flowers.
These children, by the way, are from local Los Angeles schools, part of ARCO's adopted schools.
The creative work of floral director Jim Hine has appeared on more prize-winning floats than any other floral designer in the history of the Rose Parade, and he has done it again. Our congratulations to Tim Estes and Raul and Jim and the whole gang.
The most effective use of flowers.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
My word.
Thanks, Arco.
And behind it, you hear the unmistakable sounds of the Canadian Massed Pipes and Drums Band from Meaford, Ontario, Canada.
You like
Scottish
this?
Highland dress. I just love it. Wearing different tartans. And they are an award-winning unit. Pipe Major Ross Baxter in charge. Ooh, did you look at this lady playing the pipes? Never seen that before. Canada.
Hey, the design of this float, which, by the way, IHOP presents the magic of reading. The design was chosen from 4,200 entries in IHOP's Dream Up Our Float contest, which is open to children ages 6 to 12. And riding on the float, there he is right there, is 8-year-old Teddy Simpson of Houston, Texas, who came up with the winning idea. He enjoys reading, has turned his love of books into a float for this year's Rose Parade.
Isn't that something? Now, the murals, or the floral graphs here, are covered with seed, straw flowers, carnation petals, statice, and lunaria. All of that is organic, you see. The bookmarks are decorated with straw flowers and seeds, mums, carnations. And the entries in this IHOP contest are judged for their originality, feasibility, and portrayal of the Rose Parade theme. You have to be able to give a design to the engineers so that they can carry it out.
Speaking of that, the Dream Up Our Float contest for the 1995 Tournament of Roses, IHOP Float, is currently underway. Kids have until January 31st, 1994 to submit their entries. So
that means 31st of this month?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for next year.
You better
they have
get
to move
going.
that far ahead.
You can get the fill-out blanks in the restaurants, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, what fun.
And once again, it's for children ages 6 to 12.
What's all this yelling about? We'll give you a hint.
Well,
it has to do with...
there are hundreds of thousands of red sweaters down there.
Yes. Hoping to get a ticket.
As you know, the Rose Bowl is the granddaddy of all bowl games, and today we celebrate its 80th anniversary. So get ready. Here comes the Big Ten Conference looking for their win in today's Rose Bowl game. Now, this is the University of Wisconsin Badgers' first trip to the Rose Bowl in 31 years, and they are raring to go. When they played back in 1963, number 1 ranked USC beat number 2 ranked Wisconsin 42-37. They're going to try to avenge that today, but naturally it'll be against UCLA this afternoon at the Rose Bowl. The last time the Badgers played the Bruins was in Madison, Wisconsin in 1982. They lost that game 52-26. So today they're looking for a victory. They have 9 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie, and are 6 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie in the Big Ten. And by the way, we want to say congratulations to Penn State because the Big Ten is now the Big 11.
Yes, you may notice that there's an 11 in the Big Ten logo, now that there are 11 members in the conference.
Ooh. What a thrill this must be for these kids.
It's about 0, I guess,
in Wisconsin.
In their parts.
Yeah, you can hear the suitcases closing right now as they look at our telecast going, come on, Martha, let's get the heck out there. Hey, these kids are going to be tired today because the cheerleaders and the band are going to march 5.5 miles. Then they have to do the halftime show at a Rose Bowl.
Well, they're young enough to handle it. That's what I say.
We're not. They are.
Now, the Big Ten Conference band, of course, is right behind them. The director, Michael Lockroan, has brought all these kids here by plane to play all day long.
I think it's great to have a school come here every once in a while because, you know, when you have the same teams every year, it's no fun. Well, it's wonderful to feel the Badger enthusiasm. Let's listen to their band. stands, folks.
They're doing the polka. Of course they are. I was raised on the polka.
I know you were raised on the polka.
Oh, it brings me home.
I was raised on the tush push.
Yes, well, that's a different part of the country.
Oh.
Oh, this is very exciting. Look at that enormous band, 282 members of this marching band. By the way, a foundation at the University of Wisconsin has targeted this band for a $3.5 million fundraising campaign. They are
You're not
excited.
proud of this part of the country, are you?
Well, listen.
Just a little partial, maybe?
I am a Midwesterner and can't help but to be a little pleased. Michael Leckrone has really put this group together in fine feather.
I think it's so exciting to have Wisconsin here this year.
Now, 50% of this group of seniors in the band graduate with honors. So there are lots of things they're interested in Wisconsin.
Good luck to the Badgers today.
They started their fight song.
The California, Nevada, and Hawaii districts of the Kiwanis International bring us their float entitled Children Priority Number 1. The flowering on this float was done by members of various Kiwana youth clubs. The clubs now number about 200,000 members. And this big old shoe itself is done with yellow and gold chrysanthemums, and it's beautiful.
Riding on this float is Reggie Bryant, a Special Olympics athlete who competes in floor hockey, softball, and bowling. Selected for the ride because of his outstanding spirit. The other riders on the float are children from different Kiwanian clubs all over Southern California. And the deck base on this, by the way, the deck of this whole float is completely edible. I just wanted you to know that, Bob.
Well, I'm not hungry. We've had too many donuts already.
Broccoli stalks, red leaf lettuce, cantaloupe, pumpkins, and potatoes are on the base of this. And Sharon Liguri, age 13, from the Make-A-Wish Foundation is there. They're having fun, and it's beautifully decorated.
The Kiwanis International created the program Children Priority 1 in 1990. The goal of the program is to provide prenatal and child care to needy children, as well as to educate their parents of the importance of prenatal and child care. The Kiwanians do a wonderful job. There are about 315,000 of them in or about 8,400 Kiwanis clubs in 71 nations throughout the world. Pretty nice.
Beautiful.
By the way, we want to thank our friends, the Toyota dealers of Southern California, and U-Ban Coffee for helping to make today's telecast possible.
Who's that?
And if you're like me, you grew up with the marshal of this beautiful equestrian group. This is George Putnam's 41st year in the Rose Parade, and it's nice to have George back.
He
Thank
looks
you, sir.
just as gorgeous as ever, so does
Boy,
his horse.
does he ever get old? He doesn't.
Goodness. Now get ready for some thrills, chills, and spills from the Nestle USA Company. Their entry by the same name. This is one of the great crowd pleasers.
Look out now.
Uh-oh. I'll keep talking while you watch.
Okay.
The airplanes are rising to 55 feet above the ground, and disguised as trails of smoke are 30-inch round pipes which hold the airplanes in the air. The stuntmen are free-falling 40 feet, and they'll do this 35 to 40 times as the float goes down. Oh, gosh. They fall into a 7-foot tall, 17 by 13-foot airbag with a foot of foam at the bottom.
Yeah, they have to get the airbag all set to go again now.
Each time, yeah.
They've been rehearsing for 2 months to get used to falling on the airbag. You never get used to not falling on the airbag, by the way.
Now, this entry has a special chassis. It was built with extremely hard casters on each of the 4 corners, and this gives stability to the float, keeps it from rocking, which is important to the fallers so they know where they're going to land. And the rear and front axles are on hydraulic systems. They've been rehearsing for this how many times? 35 to 40 times.
Oh, yeah, they're going to do it a lot of times during the 5.5-mile tour down here. See, they get the airbag all ready, and the plane goes back up, and then the observer will say, okay, we're ready to go again, and then they will jump again. So let's see if we can't get them to do it again. It's called Thrills, Chills, and Spills. It comes to us from Nestle USA.
Doug Coleman is the jump master there.
Look out, I think they're getting ready. The audience says, yes, go, go, go. Come on, one more time, gang. You can do it.
The float builder, Rick Chapman, who is known for doing marvelous things and taking great chances, did it again.
Yes, he did.
This is very exciting.
There he goes. Yo! All right. 1.5 gainer there. Very nice.
Again, that fellow is 7 feet tall, and they're jumping from the same height basically as where we are from the street.
Yeah, but we're a little smarter than they are.
Well,
We're up here not doing that.
Now, this is Como High School's spectacular band from Spartan Land. They have come to us from Lafayette, Louisiana. Aaron Roban is their director. Their drum major is Jennifer Roban, his daughter. They are an award-winning unit, several grand champion titles. One of the greatest marching bands in the country.
This
Como
is our
High
first time,
School.
isn't it? First time here?
I am going to look and see if you're right about that.
I'm turning to Diane Rumbo, our chief person on statistics, and
Diane
she says,
yes.
I don't know.
I think it might be their first trip. I'm thrilled for them. Very classy.
Our crack researcher here.
Bob just took his electric blanket off, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
I got a cramp in my leg, that's why.
Poor baby. If you have to go walk it off, that's okay, Bob.
Yeah.
Diane and I will cover for you.
I'm not leaving. We'll do the whole parade. Well, the winner of the Fantasy Trophy, our first float we showed you had a Tyrannosaurus on here. Now we have a Strawberryosaurus, brought to us by Baskin-Robbins with their entry called Bringing Home a Friend. And in this case, our friend's name is Tutti Frutti. Now, these cave people are trying to bring home the Strawberryosaurus by tempting her with some type of dino munchies from the cart. It won the Fantasy Trophy, Best Display of Fantasy and Imagination. Isn't that... Woo, look out!
15 different varieties of exotic protea alone make up the skin tones and the textures of this little creature, 55 feet tall.
Now, we've been told that she's a herbivore, so our stunt people there don't have to worry about their lives.
Indeed. They're going to be hanging from her mouth, however, about 30 times on their way down the parade route.
There's fresh fruits and exotic spices. They're all used extensively to decorate the Baskin-Robbins Rose Parade float each year.
The aroma must be fabulous down there at the street level.
Tutti Frutti's eyes, too. This something, though?
How beautiful. Sweet pineapples, coconuts, bananas, mangoes.
Well, it wins the Fantasy Trophy. It's called Bringing Home a Friend, and in this case, that's our friend. His name is Tutti Frutti. Congratulations, Baskin-Robbins. You always entertain us royally.
It's the year of the dinosaur here in the parade, isn't it? I don't think we've seen quite as many ever in a parade before.
We have a few dinosaurs, for sure.
This is Don Davidson's 23rd Baskin-Robbins float. He has gotten it right, and they keep coming back to him. It's always a crowd pleaser. Wonderful. I hope you can see how bright the pink is on this creature. Just precious.
Are there two stunt people or just one? Yeah, there are two, aren't there? What happened to the other one? Did he go up inside the mouth?
He's checking his stats.
I see. Oh,
And
I see. They're
like,
on the ground there.
It looks like they're actually pulling the float. Did you say that they are? They're not actually. Diane says no, they're not. They're just pretending. Now, by the way, today's parade is dedicated to Delmer Beckhardt, the 105th president of the Tournament of Roses, who passed away last June. His wife, Helen Beckhardt, and daughter, Leslie Kent Beckhardt, ride today to honor him. Delmar Beckhardt was a resident of Pasadena for 36 years, joined the Tournament of Roses in 1969, and throughout his 24 years served on 12 committees, and he chaired 3 of them. This is poignant and precious, and it was he who chose this year's theme, The Fantastic Adventure. So love to his family.
Sure, he's with us in spirit, we know. The winner of the Lathrop K. Leishman Trophy Most Beautiful Entry from a non-commercial sponsor to commemorate the annual migration of the monarch butterflies from southern Canada to California, the city of Torrance presents Fantastic Flight of the monarch butterfly. The butterflies are beautifully represented here with orchid blossoms, rich purple status, and golden straw flowers. You know, monarch butterflies are cold-blooded, so they can't live through the northern winters. So they migrate south in the fall, like all of these people from Wisconsin have done. And they live in many places along the California coast. Some have been known to fly over 2,000 miles. And the sad thing about it, they only live about a year, so they really never make it back to where they started.
But they live in the moment, don't they?
Yeah.
They live to the fullest. The bonsai trees are abloom with thousands of multi-hued roses, accents of orchids, and vibrant gerbera daisies. Over 1,000 members of the City of Torrance helped to decorate this float. It is a community effort, and they are known for being so good at putting their float together.
It's beautiful.
1,000 people decorated this piece of work.
You know, some of the monarch butterflies, Steph, actually fly over 2,000 miles to get away from the cold.
This is the largest float from Torrance and just gorgeous.
Okay, the Walterboro High School Band of Blue. And they come to us all the way from Walterboro, South Carolina. Walterboro is a community of 25,000 people located 40 miles from Charleston. The city is noted for its pristine rivers, canoe trips, and of course noted for this, the Band of Blue.
They're 6-time state champions. They played at Jimmy Carter's inaugural, among other things. Bill Young, their director. The bias, or whatever you call it. Straight as can be.
I call it lines.
Ooh, very exciting.
Once again, our KTLA camera crew and sound crew doing a magnificent job. And look what's coming.
In a salute to the upcoming 1994 World Cup soccer competition, Southern California Edison brings us Quest for Victory, the World Cup. Now, you again see floral graphs here. They're the result of computer technology and ingenuity. There are photos, first of all, taken. Then they are made by computer into a larger size. Then 160 little computer pages are glued together to create the enlarged photo. Then they're all covered with organic material. About 12 shades of gray and black, giving them a photographic quality, all done with poppy seeds, onion seeds, and sweet rice. Isn't that astonishing? You'll see Zachary Ty Bryan there, the star of Home Improvement.
Yes.
He's also the youth ambassador for the World Cup '94. Very poised young man. We saw him talking the other day. And a model of the actual trophy that will be given was scanned. Then 1-inch slices were carved from styrofoam. They were then stacked, glued, and sanded to create this 26-foot-tall replica.
And I think it's worth knowing, too, that the Edison float and its sponsorship of the World Cup are paid for by the company's stockholders and not by Edison's customers.
Yes.
Over 1,000 Edison employees, families, and friends volunteered more than 15,000 hours to decorate this beautiful
Now, this float that you're looking at is the world's largest electrical vehicle. It weighs nearly 40,000 pounds. It's powered by 108 deep cycle batteries.
Well, we're really happy that today's telecast has been made possible by the good folks at Southern California Edison and Lucky Stores. You know, over 30,000 float decorators affix an estimated 19 million carnations, 11 million roses, 9 million chrysanthemums, 56,000 orchids, and 9 tons of onion seed today on all of these floats. How's that for statistics?
And you had it all in your head.
I've memorized it all.
So the World Cup will be here for the first time. That's
yes, the Rose Bowl. Now, these 10 beautiful ladies are known as the Mahogany Cowgirls, and once again, here's a group of women who use their equestrian talents to entertain and educate children in public schools. They encourage other black females who love the sport of horseback riding to join them in the spirit of promoting youth activities, and they come from all over Southern California. We'll always enjoy watching them. They are the 10 very beautiful members of the Mahogany Cowgirls, led by their marshal, Sherry Joubert. Thank you, ladies, very much for joining us. I want to apologize to the Long Beach Mounted Police because we didn't have time to spend any time with that magnificent mounted group, too.
Ran right by them.
But sometimes the parade moves faster than we want it to move, and sometimes we're not able to spend the time that we would like to spend with them.
Here's a child's fantasy from the Oddfellows and Rebecca's Adventure Through the Eyes of a Child. A kingly dragon here. Covered with gold and lavender mums, cocoa sticks, and thurium status, and white dendrobium orchids.
He hasn't had his first cup of coffee yet, has he?
I love the shine they get in the eyes.
Yes.
Isn't that wonderful? Mrs. America 1993 is riding the float. She's 23 years old. Keena Bockham from Monroe, North Carolina. And she helped decorate the float.
Bless her heart. That's great.
Oddfellows and Rebecca's, you know, help children around the world. They really contribute to youth organizations, and they have so many scholarships.
They have
lodges
youth camps, too,
yes,
all around the country.
Lodges all over the world, in 20 countries, I think. And they are dedicating this float to children everywhere in need of protection and comfort.
It's called Adventure Through the Eyes of a Child. It comes to us from the Oddfellows and Rebecca's.
It's very pretty. I wish there were more awards. It has a wonderful, light, frothy look to it. She looks pretty sweet herself. Mrs. America 1993. I always wonder where Mr. Is when we see
Mr.
Mrs.
America? Yes.
No, her husband, yes.
Oh.
He's probably at home with the children this year.
You know, the Oddfellows and Rebecca's student loan program has loaned $5 million over the past 65 years toward education. We salute them. We thank them for bringing us this float.
Just
And
love it.
there are no better horsemen or trick ropers than the Mexican charro. The charro is naturally the English or the Mexican word for cowboy. And these are our old friends to the Rose Parade. They are the very talented Martinez family, led by their marshal Benny Martinez Jr. And you can see the difference in clothing and equipment between the Mexican charro and the American cowboy. The charro uses a longer rope he calls a riata. The saddle horn is certainly much bigger than on the American saddle, but they both get the job done. The Martinez family, by the way, is currently presenting the best of the Wild West Adventure, which is a horseback ride, dinner, and entertainment program at the Golden Spur Ranch.
That
I will
would
tell
be
you something.
fun.
Yeah,
You
these
gotta
guys
take me to
are
that.
truly artists with the rope.
Now, the city of Alhambra's 64th entry is very popular with the crowd already. It's called A Safe Adventure, reminding us to buckle up. Fred, Wilma, and Pebbles Flintstone, along with their friends Barney and Betty Rubble, enjoying an adventure in this slick-looking Stone Age vehicle made from wood bark, seeds, corn husks, and straw flowers.
Fred Flintstone always had the fattest feet. Dino is covered with wine mums, onion seed, and seaweed, and it looks like that he would like to go along for the ride, too, here. Their stone house is made with gold, yellow, and bronze mums, and the gardens on this float are filled with succulents, flowering cacti, grass, daisies, roses, squash, endive, and okra.
Look at that little face.
The city of Alhambra was incorporated in 1905, has a population of about 85,000. It sits directly south of Pasadena, and this is their 64th year in the Rose Parade.
And this float subject is pretty timely. You know, in '94, this year, there will be a Flintstones movie out with John Goodman as Fred Flintstone.
Also,
It'll
Steph,
be wonderful.
There's a big push on this float about seat belts, encouraging everybody to fasten their seat belts.
Do you always use yours?
Sometimes I'm not as
Me too, I'm afraid.
good about it as I should.
Here comes the mayor.
How about that?
Entering his second term as the mayor of Pasadena is Rick Cole. We know he is proud, again, to ride in this parade, an Appaloosa named Skeeter. And the flags of Pasadena's sister cities are featured as part of this mayor's parade unit.
I'm not sure, but I think the mayor may have changed horses. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's not an Appaloosa?
No, you know, it looks like just a buckskin horse. But, you know, you just never know about the Appies sometime.
You mean it could be an Appaloosa?
Well, you know, you know, from here I'm having trouble telling.
Well, I prefer
anyway,
to
Mr.
think-
Mayor, we're glad you're riding your horse.
Absolutely. That was a wonderful stunt there. Victory will be ours.
Yes.
That's what UCLA Bruins are saying.
They're saying that about the game today against the University of Wisconsin. Only time will tell who will be this year's Rose Bowl champion. In 1993, the Bruins were 8-3 overall, 6-2 in the Pac-10 conference. And listen to this crowd.
Coach Terry Donahue is 5-0 in the Rose Bowl.
I guess it's not just Wisconsin fans down below us after all, huh?
Definitely not.
What a school UCLA is. 37 former Bruin players are now playing in the National Football League. That's some kind of record. This is some kind of band.
The Pac-10 Conference Band representing the university whose champion team will meet in the Rose Bowl today.
It'll be a good game. Bob Eubank, Stephanie Edwards, 105th Tournament of Roses Parade on KTLA Channel 5, located high above Colorado Boulevard, directly across the street from the very famous Norton Simon Museum.
And you notice that the cheeseheads are being very respectful.
Yes, they are.
They're listening attentively. And you see coming along here the winner of the Founders Trophy Award for the most beautiful entry built and decorated by volunteers from a sponsoring organization. This comes to us from South Pasadena. And it is called First Outing, their 96th entry in the Tournament of Roses Parade.
A ladybug takes her young out into the world for the first time, which I'm sure can be quite an adventure for a little bug here. Each of the little bugs are powered by all-terrain vehicles. They're decorated with a variety of tea leaves and carnations, chrysanthemums, roses, onion seed, and corn husks.
Mama Bug is covered with 8,000 red carnations, and each of her 6 shoes, listen to this, took 4 hours to weld together. In other words, it took her a whole day to put her shoes on. The design of this float came from 15-year-old Charlie Meyer. He designed his first float for South Pasadena in '92. Get that?
You mean this is his second design?
He has
and
done
he's
it
15
twice.
years old?
And he was selected from 39 entries. This kid is talented.
He's going to be contacted, believe me.
The float is entirely self-built. That means the city of South Pasadena did it by themselves. And the materials are financed from donations. And they sell pins and T-shirts, that sort of thing. The labor is donated by volunteers who work 3 days a week and on weekends.
Look at those little bugs. Aren't they fun?
It's a precious float dedicated to Bob Clanton, who passed away last year. He was the association's president.
It's no wonder they won the Founders Trophy, most beautiful entry built and decorated by volunteers from sponsoring organizations.
City of South Pasadena.
Thank you, South Pasadena. And directly behind the city of South Pasadena, here's the horse that started it all. That's not the horse right there. Those are the little bugs.
That's right.
There's the horse.
Oh, how gorgeous.
Stephanie, all horses in the world are descendants of the Arabian horse. This group is led by John Sutzel. He shows us how beautiful these horses really are. It's hard to come up with any category that the Arabian horse does not excel in. It can be shown Western, English, or in stock horse classes, and it's especially popular among the endurance riders. Top quality Arabians can cost several hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's nice to see John Sutzel's parading Arabians and the riders in their authentic Arabian costume.
One of the right hooves was painted in a most special way. You mean the little refrigerator horse is descended from them too?
All horses are descendants of the Arabian horse.
Well, I'll be.
Write that one down.
Just ask Bob about horses and roller skating. Look at that. Is that a special little decor?
Well, they put special shoes on the horses anyway to make sure they don't slip, because we have a grade here in front of us that goes downhill.
That's right.
And also they put the dressing on the hooves. That's not only, it helps the hooves, but it also is very decorative too.
Yes.
But it keeps them supple and keeps them healthy.
I see. And the street is remaining wonderfully clean.
Well, thanks to all of the members of the Tournament of Roses Association, because they're out there cleaning the street as it's needed.
You bet they are.
That's what we'll be doing after our contract is up.
Is that what we do?
Yeah.
Well, but what? Leave show business, as the old joke goes?
No, we're not going to leave it. We're just going to go down there in the street.
That's right. We'll follow the elephants if they want us to. Say now, where are we?
At the International Trophy.
Okay, the most beautiful entry from outside the continental United States. In the archipelago comprising the Republic of Indonesia lies the world's 3rd largest island, Borneo. The ancient culture and spirit of that island are portrayed in the Republic of Indonesia's entry called Mysterious Island, Borneo, Kalimantan. Now stay with us here. The people on this float are from the Dayak tribes, which inhabit the Indonesian part of Borneo called Kalimantan. Most are tribal elders dressed in ceremonial receiving costumes. Yes, the elongated ears are a mark of status.
Look at that,
that's what they
hang weights on their ears, don't they?
Yes, they do. They say, however, that is a tradition that is somewhat dying out now. But those women are of high status in the tribe. They're performing a welcome dance here, you see. The deity figure right behind them is the guardian of the building where island inhabitants live and socialize. Can you imagine? These people have probably never been in America.
I mean, they live like they lived hundreds of years ago. And I thought it was so funny. We asked Rick Chapman, I said, where are you putting up these people? Well, they're staying at a home in the Pacific Palisades, which I think is really funny.
Goodness.
The men beside the float are elder men of the tribe, also performing a welcome dance. And the towering Dayak warrior figures wearing a floral representation of the traditional native dress, including the rare hornbill feathered headdress reserved for people of great status. Did you see the ears? I don't know, Rob Fiedler, our director, I don't know if we can see those ladies again. What they're called the long-eared women. The women wear weights in their ears to lengthen their earlobes. They also have tattooed hands, arms, feet, and legs to show their status. The women of the tribe. Most of these women are older. Aren't they something, though?
Bob Berry was the floral director and did beautiful work.
Whoa.
Goodness, this is exciting. You hear behind this float the Northrop High School Big Orange Pride, a band from Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is the bicentennial celebration of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they made sure they'd get here under the direction of Richard Hickman. Which is so difficult. I'm so impressed.
A sneak peek at the future is what the Downey Rose Float Association shows us with their entry entitled Future Unlimited. The city of Downey had some help with the construction of this float from employees at Rockwell International. And riding in the front of the ship is the float designer Joey Taskey. This is his first design for the Rose Parade. The spaceship is flowered with white, hot pink, lavender, and red carnations, and it is beautiful.
Elizabeth Balderas, who is Miss Downey, and her court are also enjoying the ride down Colorado this morning. The globe at the back of the float is covered with yellow starbursts, burgundy, bronze, and gold mums. For a first design, well, for anybody's, however many, it's just beautiful. And of course, when you see a lot of black like that, you know that there is much seaweed used, but brilliantly. And 10 containers of potato flakes, Bob, are used on this float.
That's a new one.
25 pounds of black onion seed.
At the California State Fair in the early 1920s, Adolfo Camarillo found the stallion of his dreams. He bred this beautiful white horse to Morgan mares, and thus began the beginning of the beautiful Camarillo white horse. Camarillo's policy was never to sell a white horse or sell any land, and even the Emperor of Japan and the past President of Mexico tried to purchase one of these gorgeous animals. They were later auctioned off, but then this wonderful lady by the name of Priscilla Stewart Galgus made it her quest to see the horses were brought back together, and as you can see, she has succeeded. The people of Camarillo, California are thrilled to have their Camarillo white horses back again, and we're thrilled to have them back with us too. Aren't they beautiful?
Now we go on a journey back in time to February 28th, 1849, when the ship, the California, arrived in the San Francisco harbor during the gold rush. A stagecoach waits to take anxious fortune seekers to the gold mines. 6 Belgian draft horses in front of the stagecoach. They are not actually pulling this large float. It's about 40,000 pounds in weight, and it's self-propelled. And on shore, you see a brass band welcoming these passengers arriving from a month-long journey. What a wonderful story.
Oh, and you know, it comes to us from Wells Fargo Bank. Lois Rice and all of the people at Wells Fargo have done a magnificent job. That's Richie Guyona up there. He's the stunt coordinator for the team performing those daring escapades along with the rigging of the ship. The mast, by the way, rise to 60 feet. Now, on board this float are 60 members of the San Gabriel Valley Civic Light Opera. They're dancing a quick-step polka to the music of the Gold Rush Cornet Band. This ship, by the way, is 90 feet long from bow to stern. More than 70 dancers, musicians, and stunt people are riding on this entry.
Can you believe it?
And look at that.
Including the owner of DC Arts, Dennis Nidya. He is portraying the captain of the ship here. It's really a spectacular effort. I wish there were more awards. I had this one pegged for one.
A Wells Fargo historian consulted with the float's construction team to ensure the ship's authenticity, and they did a great job.
And you know what? There are 60 gallons of fuel stored on this ship. So among other things, they did elaborate fire escape drills so that all 70 people could disembark within 45 seconds.
They tried it. It worked. And Wells Fargo, you've done it again. Congratulations.
It's wonderful. I think this may be the most people ever on a float. Yes, Diane Rumbaugh says that's absolutely true. And you hear behind them once again, the Easton Area High School Red Rover Marching Band from Easton, Pennsylvania. Wow. Most recently received superior ratings in 9 categories. Carol Luigi, their director. Thank you, Easton, Pennsylvania.
Well, Smokey Bear's 50 years old this year, and the Sierra Madre Rose Float Association pays tribute to his message with their float called A Salute to 50 Years of Fire Protection. Smokey is surrounded by baby animals indigenous to the forest that he asks us to protect. Ming moss, yuba grass, pampas grass, poppy seeds, and spices make up those adorable animals that you see here. Aren't they
covered
cute,
with
though?
sheet moss, cinnamon bum, and Smokey is created with bronze, mums, and blue status, which bespeaks his status.
Can you believe that Smokey is 50 years old?
And we don't say Smokey the Bear. We say Smokey Bear.
Smokey Bear.
Lovely
His
tribute.
middle name is not the, is it?
No, it
Yes.
isn't. Well, now,
Hi there.
who are you?
Hey, Happy New Year, Happy 1994. I'm Bob Eubanks.
Still with Stephanie Edwards up here, and what are we doing?
We're bringing you the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade from above Colorado Boulevard. KTLA, as always, best location, best sound, best pictures. We are the best.
We're having
very
a
proud
good
of that,
time,
too.
and we chased Andy Cantola and Diane Rumba away from the camera, though they will now come back and sit next to us. You see, they don't have makeup on, so they're not allowed. Poor babies. Who's that? The Packers, Bob Tanner.
Well, it's time for our How to Get a Mule contest, Steph. You ready?
I see, yes.
Okay, if you cross a burro to a male horse, what do you get?
We do this every year. Nothing.
Then you get a henny. Now, if you cross a jackass to a mare, what do you get?
You're in trouble.
No, you get a mule.
Oh.
Now, according to Bob Tanner, he's the marshal here, the way you can tell the difference between a henny and a mule, well, the hennies have bigger ears and they're not as attractive as a mule.
I see.
This group of mules lives a very wonderful life. 4 months out of the year, they earn their keep by carrying packers through the beautiful hills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. I think they're funny.
Well, I think they're pretty cute. Now, who decides what is more attractive among our four-legged friends?
I'm not sure, but you know, there's a gray horse. You see that gray horse down there?
Yes.
That horse was a Mustang horse from the Adopt a Horse program. The horse is owned by Ron Wexler, who runs the equestrian program at Pierce College. Pierce has a wonderful equestrian program out there, and that horse was a wild horse at one time, but through the Adopt a Horse program, they got the horse, they broke the horse, trained the horse, and look at this little guy. I mean, he's just wonderful, and he's used out at Pierce College by the students in the equestrian program. My hat goes off to Ron and Lynn Wexler for all of the work they do at Pierce College.
Yeah, I trust he's happy. I'd like to know your opinion about this new mode of breaking horses where it is done with gentle, tender, loving care. What do you think?
Well, I think that it certainly does work, and I have a friend by the name of Marvin Roberts up in the San Ynez Valley who even child psychologists have come to watch what he does at training horses because he does it with the gentle touch and he gets it done so quickly. And maybe that's what we as human beings ought to have, a little more gentle touch, huh?
Well, here we are with an imaginary galleon, although we can see it too, taking flight to a small town in England on this entry from Delta Airlines called Adventures in Flight, and it won the Queen's Trophy for the best use of roses. The purpose of this voyage is to gather children and take them back to fairyland for fun and adventure. The ship crewed by some mischievous mythical elves, a sword-swaggering pixie. The ship is done with redwood bark, sweet rice, carnation petals, lunaria, and straw flowers.
The sails are made from yellow straw flowers, crushed rice and red mums, and paper bark and palm fronds and crushed sweet rice, seaweed, sunflowers, and roses help make up this magical fairyland. The design of the float was inspired by the story of Peter Pan.
And again, it's another one of Michelle Lofthouse's 13 floats this year.
By the way, I would like to say that Don Bent, the owner of C.E. Bent & Sons, is sitting in the stands today watching this parade the first time in over 40 years due to health. And Don has contributed more to the Tournament of Roses and to the Tournament of Roses parade than practically anybody I know. Our hats off to him.
Beautiful work, and the Queen's Trophy winner for the best use of roses. Let's just see how many roses there are in there.
Well, congratulations to Delta Airlines.
Thousands.
Here's one of your favorite bands.
The Salvation Army Tournament of Roses Band out of Los Angeles. 135 instrumentalists, 20 timbrelists, Having first appeared in the parade in 1920, this is their 75th appearance. Chris Mallett directing. And this wonderful group is representative of nearly 250,000 Salvation Army senior and junior musicians worldwide. You know the Salvation Army, founded in London, England in 1865, came to the U.S. in 1880. They do wonderful work around the world. One of those groups that is admitted and accepted and loved no matter who you are.
There are many projects to guard and improve the environment. Rotary International presents Believing in the Future. Now, their float portrays the beauty and plight of endangered species the world over. Let's see if we can't catch some of those. Some of these species include the giant panda. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? Also, the sea otter is up there. That's not the sea otter, is it?
Yes,
yeah, that's a sea otter. I'm sorry. It sure is. There's the African elephant. On the float also is a keel-billed toucan. That naturally is the elephant. Isn't he something, though?
Lots of...
Also, there's an emperor penguin. I didn't realize that they were part of the endangered species.
Lots of ryegrass seed and seaweed and rice. The elephant is of ryegrass seed. You know, it takes real gifts to make it look beautiful when you use one color. That's Joan Embry from...
San Diego Zoo.
Yes. She is not only a goodwill ambassador for the zoo, but she's a Rotarian. There's the toucan.
Well, that's only one.
No, one toucan.
Oh, and there's Joan. But look at, she got a snake around her
neck.
She's
carrying a friend.
Joan, it's tough to get a date that way, sweetie.
Oh, she's so popular. Woo. It's great to see her on this float. She is a Rotarian. People are singing, "Hi, Joan." Everybody knows Joan Embry. I think from all her appearances on The Tonight Show.
Yes.
She is a marvelous ambassador for the San Diego Zoo.
Hey, that snake has got to be heavy. She's got a long ways to go with that snake around her. We'd like to thank Chevrolet and GTE, two of our good sponsors, bringing you the parade here on KTLA Channel 5. And this is the wonderfully friendly Icelandic horse. There are about 700 of these horses in the United States, and this group comes to us from the beautiful San Ynez Valley, led by their marshal, Elizabeth Haug. The Icelandic horse is without a doubt one of the most enjoyable horses you'll ever ride. And the nice thing about this little horse that he is not only fun to ride, but they really become your friend. If you're looking for a real pet, this is the horse for you, because he is just really something special. And you know, Stephanie, those Icelandic horses sometimes live to be 50 years old.
And they have 5 speeds, I'm told. 5 speeds. Well, now for their first official float ever in the Tournament of Roses Parade, Disneyland is bringing us a cartoon spin adventure. Benny the Cat crashing through the Toontown City Hall, setting off the clock tower, leaving general chaos and everything and everyone spinning in his wake. This is the first entry officially from Disney. They've done other participatory things in the event, but this is their first float. Donald Duck and Goofy going to get dizzy on the float. And by the way, the people portraying them have a button to push. If they get too dizzy, they can stop the spinning of...
Too Disney?
Too dizzy.
Oh, too dizzy.
Quite a few of the residents of Toontown are on the float. Mickey Mouse, of course, with Roger Rabbit, and Daisy Duck, Chip and Dale you'll see back there somewhere, and Minnie Mouse. And there are 6 different electronic motors in the hydraulic system used for the animation gear. 150 feet of roller chain. The observer for this float, by the way, is sitting inside the fire hydrant in case you catch a look at that.
I don't blame him. Well, the Disney organization always does a magnificent job, and they certainly haven't let us down today. We thank them very much for participating in our parade.
Disney was the Grand Marshal of the parade back in 1966, which, as I recall, was very shortly before his death.
Very nice indeed. And behind the Disney float, we have our first look at the incredible Peruvian Paso horse. And welcome back to the Stuart Hamilton family. Watch that little horse go. If it's a purebred Peruvian Paso, he's born with that natural gait. He or she born with that natural gait. They were bred by the Peruvian ranchers to cover a long distance very comfortably. And isn't that a magnificent horse to ride and fun to watch, too? That's Susie Hamlin and her family representing the Stuart Hamlin family. Stuart was one of the great legends of the Rose Parade, of country music, and was just one fine individual.
This year's entry from the Lutheran Layman's League is entitled Jesus, Lord at Thy Birth. And this actually became their Christmas card this year. A beautiful design. Over 5,000 volunteers, known to the world as pedal pushers, came from 7 states to help decorate this float and many others. They've become rather a tradition now. It's one of their most beautiful of recent years, I think. Sweet rice, lettuce, poppy seed, paper bark, straw flower, daffodils, orchids, and of course the gift-giving tradition in the Christian faith harkens back to the 3 wise men bringing gifts to the baby in the manger. The rock formation covered with sweet rice, lettuce, and poppy seed, and the donkey on the float covered in palm fiber, pampas grass, hyacinth root, silver leaf, carnation petals. About 15 years ago, the League began decorating other floats besides their own, and they've decorated more than 10 floats this year now. The pedal pushers have become rather in demand, and they come to stay in the basements or the fellowship halls of churches in the Pasadena area. So they sleep on the floor in order to be part of this parade each year. Quite beautiful.
Well, there are 210 band members, 2 banner carriers, 1 feature furler, 3 drum majors, 18 tall flags, and 4 directors, and they come to us from Lincoln, Nebraska. They are the Lincoln Northeast High School Rocket Marching Band.
Have lived in the rugged Arctic region. Countrywide Home Mortgage Loans brings us a taste of that lifestyle with their entry entitled Uncharted Adventure. Snowflake chrysanthemums, lots of them. Jack Frost roses, China and spider mums, white catalia and dendrobium orchids are used to create the snow-covered glaciers. White flowers were streaked with dark blue iris, lavender catalia orchids, and hot pink Gerbera daisies to create the cold, icy effect, and Jim Hine, the floral director, at his best.
The 2 sleds are portrayed here carrying the Eskimos across the north frozen, uncharted tundra. Traditional Eskimo dogs not only pulled sleds, they also helped with hunting and carried packs on their backs in the summer. Now, this area of the world supports an abundance of wildlife, some of which are depicted here. The velvety look on the seal's fur has been created with bent grass seed. Japanese black seaweed is used for face details on all of the animals, and the polar bears you saw there are covered with pampas plumes. We were wondering earlier, would they be able to bring it off, to make it look like ice and snow, and certainly they have done it. Congratulations to Tim Estes of Fiesta Parades for doing a magnificent job with this. Uncharted Adventure. It comes to us from Countrywide Home Mortgage Loans.
Courageous to have a float in so much white, and it was gorgeous. These are the Renaissance Pleasure Fair riders under Kevin Patterson's leadership. 1,500 performers are members of this Renaissance Fair group. It's an annual springtime celebration held in San Bernardino County here in California, and it's quite popular. It's 32nd year. And when you go there, you're transported back in time to the golden age of Queen Elizabeth I.
The family of Freemasonry brings us their float called Builders of Democracy. Now, each of the tools depicted on this float signifies an important element of human behavior. The open book lists the 7 cardinal virtues. The scroll and quill symbolize the many documents of democracy. And the globe symbolizes the universality of democracy. The trowel is for the cementing of ties of brotherly love. And the compass is a reminder that there are discrete limits of man's conduct. Riding on this float and portraying George Washington is Frederick Alexander. The name Freemasonry is derived from the Masons who built great structures centuries ago. Over the years, however, members have become more oriented toward philosophical teachings and the building of character. President Bill Clinton and Vice President Al Gore were both demolays.
It's a very beautiful float. In any other year, this too would have been awarded something special. We have such glorious competition in the parade this year.
By the way, in 1994, DeMolay will celebrate its 75th anniversary. DeMolay is one of the over 60 organizations associated with Freemasonry.
The Valley Hunt Club, which started it all, once upon a time in 1890, they decided to put on a parade and sponsor some games, and that's what the Tournament of Roses parade is today.
Steph, there's a float coming down the boulevard at about 60 miles an hour.
Goodness.
It's the winner of the animation trophy. No wonder they're going so fast. Best display of animation. It comes to us from 20th Century Insurance. It's called Safari Adventure.
Oh.
And on this safari, the felines are posed for a wildlife photographer, and what a beautiful picture they make.
And you might recognize that photographer,
I do.
Leanna Yamasaki, the Rose Queen of last year.
Exacting research is conducted to recreate the lifelike shadings of these cats. Sophisticated hydraulics were specially designed to give the realistic body movements. It's beautiful. The leopards will live in dry grasslands and can weigh up to 200 pounds.
Jaguars found in the southwestern U.S. and the south to Argentina. Lions can reach 8 feet in length. They live today in protected areas of Africa and India, and you know why. Siberian tigers will live in forests or dry areas. The faces of these cats were sculpted by Gloria Martin and Teresa Shea. Extraordinary. Natural materials from the big cat's habitats are represented throughout this float. Isn't that a nice idea?
Winner of the animation trophy for best display of animation. Congratulations, 20th Century Insurance Company, for your safari adventure. And congratulations, too, to the Pipestone High School Aero Marching Band. They come from Pipestone, Minnesota.
Indeed, not far from me. They've had 2 different directors in the past 50 years. That's consistency.
That's old record, too.
Oh, wonderful.
Bob Eubanks and Stephanie Edwards on KTLA Channel 5 for this, the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade.
From the busiest ports on the West Coast, the city of Long Beach brings us its entry entitled City of Adventure. Represented in its float are some of the many attractions Long Beach has to offer. One of the most familiar, of course, is the Queen Mary, now retired in Long Beach. This ship was originally christened on September 17th, 1934. And you see it there depicted with red carnations and seaweed. Completed 1,001 crossings of the Atlantic, carried a total of 2,115,000 passengers in her day. A man-made breakwater constructed in the 1920s and 30s along the Long Beach shoreline makes good conditions for windsurfers. Over 200,000 auto racing fans attend the Long Beach Grand Prix each year. The Indianapolis 500 is the only race that draws more people. It's pretty good for an event that started out as an experimental streetcar race in 1975.
Kidding. Some of the famous IndyCar drivers were Paul Tracy, Al Unser Jr., Mario and Michael Andretti. They were big winners at Long Beach. Long Beach, by the way, is the busiest port on the West Coast. There's about 2.6 million people that visit Long Beach each year. The Queen Mary is there. In fact, I heard them announcing their New Year's Eve party. It's going to have all kinds of entertainment and everything.
Lots of sweet rice on this float, I'll tell you. An interesting fact about the use of some of these things, if you use rice, you can't you can't make it bigger than it is. If you use popcorn, you can't pop it. You have to be very specific about the way you use things on the float.
And if you ride a side saddle, you might be one of these wonderful ladies. They are the shady ladies of the Mother Lode. They come to us all the way from Northern California riding their side saddle.
Just beautiful.
And here comes the judges' special trophy, outstanding showmanship and dramatic impact.
The ancient mariners of China set out to sail uncharted seas in this entry from China Airlines, Spectacular Taiwan.
Ooh, is it
the
pretty?
Chinese junk on this float, dwarfed by a 60-foot Dragon King. According to Chinese lore, the Dragon King is a benevolent protector and provider of water and good fortune. This Dragon King is covered with brilliant hues of yellow, pink, orange, and white carnations. Chrysanthemums, marigolds, orchids, white rice, lunaria, and anthurium helped to make up this rich coloring. Bob Berry, the floral designer.
Isn't that something, though? Look at that.
Raul Rodriguez did this, and to have that standing as beautifully and stately as it is a piece of work.
What Raul did, he visited a temple in Taipei and saw the magnificent dragons. Listen to the audience applaud this float. They love it.
It is spectacular.
Taiwan, by the way, is located 115 miles off the southeast coast of mainland China. It first became known to the West in the 16th century by its Portuguese name. Here's a little trivia for you folks. Formosa, which means beautiful in Portuguese.
This for the outstanding showmanship and dramatic impact of the float. Well deserved. It got the judge's special trophy. This is really spectacular.
Really is. You know, we were just talking about the parade before when it started this morning. When the Tournament of Roses began in 1890, Pasadena had a population of that time of 4,882. There are now 130,000 people. And next year, New Year's Day falls on a Sunday. And when they started the Rose Parade, the city agreed that they would never, ever have the parade on a Sunday because of the churches here on Colorado Boulevard. So that still hangs on. Next year, the parade will be on January the 2nd rather than on January 1st.
So make your airline plans right now, folks, and don't make a mistake.
That's right. The first band appeared in the Rose Parade in 1891. It came to us from Monrovia. And the first automobile appeared in the parade in 1901. But at that time, the automobiles, they had to be in the back of the parade because they would scare the horses.
Yes.
So the automobiles were always in the back of the parade. And in 1907, Joan Hondefeld Woodbury, at the age of 35, was the first of two Rose Queens selected who were married. Did you know that?
Indeed, and I think we should do it again.
She was also the first to be officially crowned the Queen of the Tournament of Roses. That was way back in 1907.
You see, most people are on their feet for good reason today. And now coming down the street
from Port Washington, New York, here's the Port Washington High School Viking Marching Band.
Stay tuned for a special encore of the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade immediately following this telecast right here on Channel 5.
This marks the 80th anniversary of the year that John Philip Sousa came to reside in Port Washington. And you can be sure the band will be playing John Philip Sousa today.
Happy 1994, everybody, from all of us at KTLA Channel 5. It's a beautiful day in Southern California. Temperatures are going to reach up into the mid-70s. So those of you who are watching us on cable and satellite dish across the country, we wish you were here with us.
Yeah, I do.
Be a great day.
I'm fanning myself now.
Yeah, I know you are, and
speak.
me too. See the mountains in the background? Those are the beautiful San Gabriel Mountains we got a view of. And Westward Ho is the name of our next entry from the city of St. Louis, Missouri. Each of the beautiful Clydesdales pulling this float weigh over 2,000 pounds, so they should be hardy enough to make this trip from St. Louis over the Great Plains into the West. A lot of attention to historic detail went into making of this float. It features the various landscapes encountered as the pioneers traveled west. The Joshua trees are created from New Zealand flax leaves and orchid clusters.
The giant cactus was made with bells of Ireland and king protea. Blended varieties of pom-poms provide the colors for the buttes at sunset. Roses, gerbera daisies, dried grasses, and grains were also used on the float. Many of the major trails heading west began in St. Louis, including the Santa Fe Trail and a branch of the Oregon Trail. And you see in the shadow there Fritz Coleman, a very popular weathercaster from Los Angeles, and his children riding today. Those Clydesdales travel 90,000 miles a year. Would you say that?
Too. Okay, now I want to talk to you about this horse. We hope we have time to cover it. Riding down Colorado Boulevard for the 11th time, It's the American Vashker Curly. This little horse was first spotted in central Nevada in the 1800s. And what makes him so unique is his natural curly coat. The curly coat is not there all year, though, because it sheds off his body hair, mane and tail. So if you have to be really careful, if you grab a mane and swing up on this horse, you may end up on your behind holding the mane in his hand. But those are the curly Vashkers, and we're glad they're back. I wish I had more time to talk about.
Yes, now the tournament special trophy for exceptional merit in multiple classifications. Every child enjoys the thrill of a carousel ride. American Honda Motor Company paying tribute to the antique treasures of the carousel and the artisans who perfected it in an entry entitled Dream Ride. 400 homing pigeons will be released, 50 from each oval on the front of this float, and they'll arrive back at their homes in case you're concerned.
In Irvine.
LA, yes. They'll be home in about an hour. There are 4 pigeon handlers and a cooling system inside the float to keep the birds covered.
Well, the horses are patterned after those carved by the Denzel family, who created many of the popular carousel horses. They're covered with coconut chips from the South Pacific and accents of Linaria and Silverleaf. Their trappings are done with 25,000 carina, as well as pink roses, raspberry, and hot pink carnations. There are yellow chrysanthemums and purple Madame Pompadour and orchid florets on this float, too. It's beautiful.
Exceptional merit in multiple classifications is what the tournament special trophy goes to, and that's this from American Honda.
The 6 carousel horses each reach over 15 feet in length, up to 20 feet tall. They're 3 times the size of the average carousel horse.
May I just speak to this next marching band entry?
Stand by, folks. Here comes the Norwegian.
The Hokkerod Skolakorps from Sandefjord, Norway. I am beginning to shed a tear. From the rocky coast of my homeland, southern Norway. Odin, Norway, the ancestral home of the Tournament of Roses president of this year, Delmer Beckhardt, who died in June of this last year. And I'm sure he was much involved in bringing them here with us this year. You know, Norway is a very mountainous country, and it was practically impossible for them to find a flat, wide street, so they received special permission to rehearse on the landing strip of the local airport there.
They sound good, too. Okay, the winner of the Isabel Coleman Trophy for Best Presentation of Color and Color Harmony, extending an invitation to explore the natural wonders of their country, El Salvador brings us their float entitled El Salvador, The New Adventure. This is their first entry in the Rose Parade, and the float depicts Mount Izalco. Now, Mount Izalco has been called the lighthouse of the Pacific by sailors, as the light from its active volcano could be seen for many miles out at sea.
The rainbow is created with light blue statice, tea leaves, carnations, straw flowers, and chrysanthemums and orchids. Tubed iris, mums, roses, and orchids were combined to portray the surf on this float. And the float was designed by Andre Rayon, a native of El Salvador who lives in Los Angeles. Many different shades of red carnations go into the making up of this volcanic spectacle.
Okay, I hope you've taken your family to the Gene Autry Western Heritage Museum in Griffith Park. I happen to think it's one of the most incredible additions to Southern California heritage. Joanne Hale and her staff do a wonderful job in taking us back through history. Now, these 18 riders represent the Autry Museum and the various ethnic backgrounds that tame the wild frontier. Go see the Gene Autry Museum. It's at the 5 and the 134. It's a great experience.
For their first entry in the Rose Parade, the Auto Club of Southern California presents Getting There is a Fantastic Adventure. Different modes of leisure travel from both the past and the future come together here on this float. A supersonic jet and a prop airplane fly side by side above a monorail. A contemporary car along with a solar-powered vehicle depicted on the front. A 1920 vintage touring bus. And a cruise liner, all portraying a few of the other types of leisure transportation. The brightly hued sunburst that you see there represent energy and future journeys. It's created with yellow straw flowers.
You know, Steph, for the last 51 years, the Auto Club has escorted our Rose Parade floats to their starting point on New Year's Eve. And some of them come as far away as 25 and 30 miles, and they're towed by the Auto Club.
Yes.
And we are thanking them very much. The Auto Club provides travel service to over 400,000 members each year.
Do you know that they get a call every 11 seconds for help?
Wow.
Thanks, by the way, to Lucky Stores and Southern California Edison for sponsoring today's telecast.
Now, here is the first light breed of horse, America's first light breed of horse. This is the versatile American Morgan horse. And we've talked about this little horse before. All of these horses are descendants from one bay stallion that was born in 1789, owned by a veterinarian in Springfield, Massachusetts. The name of the veterinarian was Justin Morgan. Now, this is the only breed to be raised by the government from 1901 to 1950 for Army use. Now, the characteristic of this little Morgan horse is they're much like the quarter horses. They're kind, they're gentle, they're very versatile, and we're glad to see the Morgans back.
Courageous trailblazers of the early 1800s are celebrated on this entry from Rand McNally called Blazing Trails. Millions of square miles of mysterious lands were mapped out by the trailblazers from the original colonies through the Louisiana Purchase and up the Oregon Trail. Capturing the beauty of a scene from this time, the trailblazers are surrounded by wildlife and plant life that is indigenous to the United States.
You know, the texture of the eagle on this float is achieved with ironed red tea magnolia and croton leaves. Look at that little guy. Comb, palm fiber, buckwheat, broom pocket, flaxseed, and artichoke petals are some of the materials used on the animals to achieve their coloration. Over 10,000 stems of golden orchids were used to create the aspen trees. And just like the trailblazers on this float, Rand McNally is well known for mapping and made its first map in 1872. And folks, we couldn't get along without him. It's a fine tribute to those daring men who did so much to help settle our country.
And you know that eagle right up on top, as soon as they put the eagle there, the birds who sit on the wires near where the floats are built,
yeah. They
went
left.
away.
They left. So the farmers out there, if you want to borrow the eagle, call Tim Estes.
This is the Kahuku High School Learning Center Red Raider Marching Band from Kahuku, Hawaii. Become the pride of the North Shore.
Happy 1994, everybody. Bob Eubanks and Stephanie Edwards on KTLA Channel 5 for the 105th Tournament of Roses. You know, Hawaii calls is the entry from our 50th state. Heralding their arrival is a conch shell blower riding on the front of a double-hulled sailing canoe. This is an accurate replica of the canoes used by the Polynesians who settled the Pacific Islands.
Miss Aloha Hula, Debbie Nakanelue.
Who?
Nakanelue. Debbie Nakanelue does Hawaii's famous interpretive dance, the hula. She was judged best individual hula dancer in the state. Also riding is actress and former Miss Hawaii, Elizabeth Lindsay.
Well, the float depicts the many exciting activities a person can enjoy in Hawaii, and all of the flowers used in the float were grown in Hawaii, including the anthuriums, orchids, heliconias, birds of paradise, ginger, and roses. Over 500,000 Californians visit Hawaii each year. This is their first entry as a state. Hawaii first entered the Rose Parade in 1917 and again in 1951, but then it was a territory. We're proud to say it is now our 50th state. I did a television show in Kahuku, Hawaii.
Yes?
Called the Diamond Head Game. That'll go down as something we'll all forget.
Oh, too bad.
I hope.
Debbie Nakanelue.
You can do it.
Nakanelue.
Let's just call her Debbie from now on, okay?
She'll send me an ugly letter, bless her heart. But she looks fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful float. Thank you, Hawaii. Speaking of Hawaii.
Hawaii Pau Riders with John Cook as the marshal. Waimanalo-based Hawaii band. And this has to do specifically with the wraparound skirts that the riders are wearing.
The pau is the skirt, right?
1800s. The late 1800s is when that all began. Thank them for coming.
Coming around Orange Grove onto Colorado Boulevard is the winner of the Director's Trophy Outstanding Artistic Merit in Design and Floral Presentation. This trophy is called, this float I should say, called Make a Wish, and it's the Unocal Corporation entry. According to Arabic tradition, good genies lived in households and had miraculous powers. Well, this lovely genie, rising out of the magic lamp, definitely seems to have used her powers to bring forth many beautiful treasures for her master. The scepter that she is holding is covered with straw flowers, white and red carnation petals, linaria, statice, and sweet rice. And the genie's attire is achieved with a combination of red carnations, orchids, statice, chrysanthemums, spices, cornmeal, and millet. Is she pretty, though?
The mystical bird she holds in her other hand is created with coconut, silver leaf, cocoa sticks, and gladiola petals. The Romans believed genies could comfort people in times of sorrow and prompt people to do noble deeds. Of course, probably the best-known contemporary genie now is the Robin Williams character in Aladdin, but it has a marvelous ancient history.
Aladdin is a poor Chinese boy who obtains the magic lamp. By rubbing the lamp, he can make a genie appear who obeys Aladdin's commands. Aladdin becomes very rich and marries the Sultan's daughter. This genie builds them a beautiful palace, and it's a beautiful float. Unical Corporation, they win the Director's Trophy for Outstanding Artistic Merit in Design and Floral Presentation, and it's called Make-A-Wish.
Scott Lamb, the floral director. Michelle Lofthouse, the designer. Wonderful work.
Well, coming up behind this float, we welcome the Fancy Prancers from the four-time stables in Shadow Hills. They were formed in 1971. The Fancy Prancers have performed in dozens of parades in Southern California. All the horses are Tennessee walkers, and each horse is a grand champion in the show ring. Lee Heighton is the director, and the riders are Pat and Ralph Walker, Judy Grenn, John and Bobby Parody, Larry Hurd, and George Heffley. They're riding their beautiful Tennessee walking horses. And that's another one of those horses that's just a great horse to ride, bred by the plantation owners in Tennessee.
Making dreams come true is the theme of the IDS Financial Services float. A couple of children have fallen asleep and are dreaming some wonderful things depicted behind them. The float shows dreams of travel and adventure, fun and enjoyment, and the importance of education is tucked in there. And the rainbow depicts hope, brilliant tones created with white carnations, roses, and iris.
You know, there are many things that children dream of being when they grow up, and the children riding on this float represent many of those professions. 10,000 pounds of organic material is used for the decoration on this float. More than 100,000 flowers were affixed to the float by IDS planners, employees, and their families.
Making Dreams Come True represents the first entry for IDS in the Rose Parade. And by the way, as part of its commitment to making dreams come true, IDS will make a $40,000 donation to Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America this year.
IDS supports communities where it conducts business and donates 2% of its pre-tax dollars to charitable organizations across the country. We thank them for a beautiful float called Making Dreams Come True from the IDS
end.
Financial Services.
That's very sweet.
Isn't that cute, though?
The end.
And now, these ladies are ambassadors of goodwill for San Bernardino County and the city of 29 Palms. Unlike most parade groups, their equestrian activities consist of being a championship drill team, as well as participating in team pinning, horse shows, barrel racing, and roping. In other words, these are real cowgirls, and they are the Swirling Sand Mounted Drill Team. We welcome them back.
This is the 45th entry in the Rose Parade from the Bakery, Confectionery, and Tobacco Workers Union, called A Sweet Adventure. This little tugboat is all decked out in donuts, candy, cakes, pretzels, but the baked goods are made with chrysanthemums and carnations and straw flowers, of course, instead of the traditional. Riding on the float is Tomika Patrice Miller, the Macon Cherry Blossom Festival Queen from Macon, Georgia.
Jack Saunders, the 1994 San Antonio Fiesta president from San Antonio, Texas, is also there, and Fontaine Handy, the 1993 Miss Black Pasadena Altadena. Is she pretty, though?
Beautiful. And hi there, I'm Stephanie Edwards along with Bob Eubanks.
And it's going fast again. We're sorry we can't cover all of them as much as we'd like to, but it's a beautiful parade, and we want to say happy 1994 to you. This is the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade on KTLA Channel 5.
Glad you're with us today.
You bet. Okay, let's go back to our parade. This is the Almalika Silver Mounted Patrol, led by their Marshal Charles Liesenfeld. Also riding in the group is Nick Thomas, who is the potentate of the Los Angeles Shrine Temple. This unit represents the nearly 1 million Shriners in North America who fund and maintain 19 orthopedic hospitals for crippled children and 3 burn treatment centers, too. They provide free treatment for less advantaged children under the age of 18. Riding their beautiful golden Palomino horses with black silver saddle intact, we are always happy to see the Almalika Silver Mounted Patrol. Here's that trophy winner, the extraordinary trophy. And because it's so long, folks. And remember, this is a new trophy, Steph, the extraordinary trophy, and it's for floats that are over 55 feet long, and this one certainly falls into that category.
Yes. And celebrating its second 100 years, the Sunkist Growers have won this award. They're inviting us to climb aboard the Sunkist Centennial Train, 162 feet long, the longest float ever to enter the Tournament of Roses. There's a bicycle-type locomotive, which is easier to maneuver on the parade route than other types of locomotives, of course. The big diamond-shaped smokestack is used for wood burning. Coal-burning engines have smaller stacks, you might have wanted to know.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it makes it around the corner. I mean, it's a long, long float. Now, Frenchie Burke and his band are playing the Orange Blossom Special on the boxcar, which is loaded with oranges, lemons, and tangerines. And the artwork, by the way, on the boxcar illustrates the colorful paper labels that citrus growers used on their wooden boxes. Remember, we used to get those orange crates and we'd make scooters out of them?
Uh-huh.
Well, those labels are now collector's items. Fiddling and dancing accompany this great train as it rolls down Colorado Boulevard. Yeah, they did a little Texas two-step up there. How's your tush push?
I'm not too good at it, but I'd love to learn.
How's your achy breaky?
I know what you're talking about.
How's your cowboy cha-cha?
I don't do that.
How about the electric slide?
I'm a folk-outer myself.
I figured that.
I love that, though. That is terribly popular these days.
All the cars are hooked together, but each train car has a braking device and a brake mat. The train uses a turbo 450 cat engine, for those of you who are into cars and such. The audience kind of likes it, too.
Oh, the Sunkist folks have really gotten excited this year.
Well, once again, it's the extraordinary trophy, the first winner, most spectacular entry, including floats that are over 55 feet in length. In the past, they have not been judged if they were over 55 feet in length, but we're glad that the tournament has added this particular trophy to
Pretty good way to rejoin the Tournament of Roses parade. Sunkist has not made an appearance since, in 7 years. They're back now with this absolutely unique piece of work.
Boy, this line dancing has really become popular. Listen to the audience. That's called boot scooting. Did you know that?
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Have you ever been boot scooting?
No, I gotta go. Gene Evans, who does the firework extravaganzas at the Hollywood Bowl, created these special effects.
Little Orange Blossom Special. Thank you, Sunkist Growers, and congratulations for being the extraordinary trophy winner for 1994. From Hermiston, Oregon, you're listening to the music of the Hermiston High School Marching Band, and why don't we do that right now? I just noticed that tuba players don't wear hats.
That's right.
I never knew that.
You can tell why.
Yeah.
You have no room for them. Lawn parties were important and proper during the Victorian era, of course. Portraying that era now and its styles is this beautiful 1928 Jewelry Company float. Their entry is called Afternoon in a Victorian Garden. A lot of attention to detail and beauty of the Victorian era portrayed on this float. The ladies' dresses are all made with pumpkin seeds, camellias, and ginkgo leaves. Cut-dried flowers were added to give them an authentic look. The flowers on their hats were actually built using gladiola petals and wire. Pine tree branches and brown buckwheat were used to give the tree its weeping willow appearance. Tens of thousands of roses have been used in the garden on this float. The 1928 Jewelry Company is well known for its Victorian-style porcelain rose jewelry collection. The company is located in Burbank. It employs up to 1,300 people. And the Charisma Float Company built this entry, winners of the Nouveau Builder of the Year award. That is presented to a newer builder for good design, construction, flowering, and punctuality. You got to turn these floats in
a
time.
Victorian garden, and we thank the 1928 Jewelry Company. All right, here's the famous Appaloosa horse, originally bred by Chief Joseph the Nez Perce Indians. You've heard me talk about this Appaloosa before. Not only are they one of the most colorful horses, but they also are one of the most talented. You will find them in rodeo arenas, jumping competitions, in the backyards of America, as they are truly a kind and gentle horse. Some Appaloosas have a white blanket on their rumps, as that one does.
Their own.
You see, and then there's the leopard Appaloosa there. But what happens with, sometimes the horse will be born just solid color, and that blanket on the rump will not actually come out for a couple of years. And it makes the horse more valuable, naturally, if he has that nice blanket back there.
Why,
but thank you, Mrs. Jean Riggs Tanner and the Tanner Appaloosas.
Now, the city of Duarte, California, and the City of Hope National Medical Center present their entry in this year's parade called Discovering New Trails, a trailblazing teddy bear. Covered with the mums and straw flowers, tea leaves, and carnation petals. He is depicted, the teddy bear representing comfort and security for children as they face the health-related challenges.
And riding on the float are pediatric patients from the City of Hope. Ryan Corletto, 10 years old, from Santa Fe Springs. Keisha Lee, 12 years old, from Helendale, California. America Juarez, what a wonderful name. America Juarez, 11 years old, from Los Angeles. And 12-year-old Stephanie Michihara from Roland Heights. The City of Hope Medical Center has over 100 buildings located on approximately 100 acres. What a job they do. They provide medical care to more than 4,500 patients each year. It treats over 80,000 outpatients annually. The center is made up of more than, as I said, 100 buildings, 200 laboratories, and they are certainly an addition to our community. Thank you, City of Duarte and the City of Hope. At this point in the parade, we would like to say thanks to Coca-Cola and the Toyota dealers of Southern California for helping to sponsor today's broadcast of the Rose Parade here on KTLA Channel 5.
Oh, and you hear the strains from the Fairfield High School Scarlet Brigade Band of Fairfield, California. Patterned after the Coldstream Guard of Great Britain, this is one of the best bands in Northern California.
By the way, I think it's a good time to remind everybody, the public is invited to view the Rose Parade floats from 1:30 to 4 p.m. today and from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow. A special viewing for the mobility impaired and senior citizens will take place tomorrow, Sunday, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now, the floats will be on Sierra Madre Boulevard between Washington Boulevard and Sierra Madre Villa Avenue, and on Washington Boulevard between Sierra Madre Boulevard and Woodland Road, too. It's a $1 admission. If you want to see these floats, they're going to be on view today and tomorrow.
Thank you, Fairfield High School Scarlet Brigade Band from Fairfield, California.
Well, the Farmers Insurance Group of Companies presents a salute to the Tournament of Roses. Now, the three vintage coaches that you see on this entry are authentic in size and design to those that paraded down this boulevard in the early 1900s. And riding on the float is Tanis Turrentine, the 1992 Rose Queen. The first coach was called the Swanmobile and is garnished with white roses, iris, and orchids. The carriage is decorated with yellow roses, oncidium orchids, yellow iris, and chrysanthemums. And the sculpted roses here, something very unusual. See those sculpted roses? They're actually made of plastic before they're decorated, so they can be reused. Each petal pulls out of its stem for flowering.
Now, the last coach here is called the Birds and the Bees. It's covered with hot pink and yellow roses, white, purple, and yellow iris, and oncidium orchids. Paper mache and burlap are used extensively, as you can see here, and they're the foundation used in substitution for chicken wire, which is more prominently used on most of the floats.
And Steph, something really interesting. Studio Concepts built this float, and they actually built the float in Oregon. And then they shipped it down here, and in one day put it all together.
Yeah, and it's their first year in the parade.
And we welcome them.
Very nicely done.
Farmers Insurance Group of Companies, a salute to the Tournament of Roses. Very beautiful.
Some of these blossoms were applied with tweezers, dear friends. And the pumpkin seeds are attached to the dresses with small metal hooks.
Our next equestrian group behind this float provides a service to all of us throughout the United States. These are the members of the National Park Service. And riding in the group are 3 members of the National Park Rangers, 4 United States Park Police officers, and 9 volunteers representing the Santa Monica Mountain and Golden Gate National Recreation areas. It's their job to protect our nation's heritage and assist the millions of visitors in more than 370 national parks throughout the United States. They travel all over the country, and we're glad that they've joined us today at our Tournament of Roses parade. They're the members of the National Park Service. Their marshal is Mr. David E. Gackenbach. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I haven't seen the horses perspiring, which surprises me. Throughout history, kites have been used during celebrations, so to help celebrate the beginning of this new year, the Junior Chamber, JCs, bring us their entry called Kite-tastic Experience. Depicted on the float are kites from around the world saluting the JC's heritage. Some of the kites are the Japanese Moribuka kite, an American hexagonal kite, a European pear-top kite, and a Chinese butterfly.
Horses sweat.
I was trying to be delicate.
Building bridges between cultures and people has been a hallmark of the JC organization. Children from different cultural groups are riding on the float to represent JCs around the world. Now, interestingly enough, the name JCs comes from the initials for the Junior Chamber of Commerce, which was founded in St. Louis in 1920. It has about 240,000 members between the ages of 21 and 39.
The youngsters.
Kite-tastic experience, huh? Oh, the Governor's Trophy.
Best depiction of life in California, Dia de Fiesta, Spanish for Festival Day. The name of this entry from Cacique. The children depicted stand 30 feet high, and their faces are done with a combination of cracked wheat, cinnamon, and corn polenta. How beautiful. Costuming created with white straw flower confetti, red carnation petals, yellow mumps, and Galix leaves.
Raul Rodriguez designed this float and is riding, by the way, on it today. There's Raul right there. That's his macaw, Roxy. It's his nephew, James Cortez, beside him. The dancers are performing various Mexican folk dances. The serape is made with orange, yellow, red, and bronze chrysanthemums and yellow, orange, and purple carnations.
Gilbert D. Cardenas, the founder of the Cacique Cheese Company, first came to the Rose Parade in 1972, shortly after immigrating from Cuba. He loved the parade and its excitement, and now he has his own float in the parade.
That's a great story. You know, a guy comes in 1972 to America. He goes to the Rose Parade. He says, what a wonderful event this is. He then develops Cacique, big cheese company, and now he has a float in the parade.
It's so glorious. May
Only
I
in
mention,
America.
Bill Sesoyev, the floral director, did a magnificent work on this float. The faces are so delicate. Lots of time, lots of hours.
Cacique celebrated its 20th anniversary in 1993. It is the nation's leading Hispanic cheese company.
I've never seen expressions quite like those on a float.
They won the Governor's Trophy, Best Depiction of Life in California. Cacique presents Dia de Fiesta. And behind them, one of those equestrian groups that serve a real service to the community. The Express Riders Horsemen's Association exposed the children of the inner city to the wonderful world of horses. Their activities include gymkhana competitions, rodeos, and trail rides. But this group has another goal. They hope to educate the people of America to the tremendous contribution that Black American soldiers provided in helping to settle the western frontier. They were dubbed by their Indian opponents as Buffalo Soldiers. They showed courage and devotion as they became remarkable fighting units in the U.S. Army. And it's nice to have them back, the Express Riders Horsemen's Association from Northern California. Thank you, gentlemen.
The magical memories and adventure of a child's playroom are portrayed here from Kmart Corporation. They call their float Around the World Adventures in Toyland. Replicas of handcrafted dolls from 8 countries are displayed on this float. Some of the materials that were carefully selected to create the authenticity of the doll's clothing are ground rice, seaweed, kale, cocoa powder, raffia, and lentil seed. Riding on the float is Mary Guyen, Miss Teenage America of 1993.
Pretty lady. The children riding are winners of a national Kmart trivia contest open to employees and their families. By the way, the Eskimo doll's coat is made from pardon puffs, which are dried artichoke blossoms. Pardon puffs. Is that a new one? I don't recall
it from years past either.
The Puerto Rican doll is covered with white mums, beet powder, and dried orange slices. This is Kmart's 5th entry in the Tournament of Roses parade. It's called Around the World, Adventures in Toyland.
You see a Canadian Mountie riding a deer on this float, Bob.
Yes. Come on, guys.
I don't know that they often do.
That's an artist license, I think.
It's cute. The Rancho Bernardo High School Royal Regiment from San Diego, California. This is an award-winning Royal Regiment, competed with the highest-rated bands in parade and field show competitions all last year.
Let's listen to them. The Mayor's Trophy is awarded to the city with the most outstanding entry. Adventures of the Deep are explored in the city of Glendale's entry called A Whale's Tale. A Pacific humpback whale breaches the water on this beautifully decorated float. Appropriately, one of the materials used on the whale is seaweed. He is also covered with silverleaf, poppy seed, and blue status. Now, the water level on this float was created in a unique way. It began with pencil steel and chicken wire and was then sprayed with a plastic material. This process is known as cocooning. The material then dried, forming a web-like covering, and flowers were then added. And they really did a magnificent job.
The Glendale volunteer decorators chose the subject for their float for the detail work it entailed. They're well known for their excellent work on intricate flowering.
You know, Steph, breaching is, by the way, it's what the whales will thrust themselves out of the water and then fall back in a huge splash. And what I find fascinating is the scientists are not sure why they do this.
Yes.
Maybe they just want some air.
Maybe so. Maybe it's fun. I hope it's fun. The most outstanding city entry goes to Glendale. And those volunteers really know how to do the detail work.
The whales are warm-blooded. They're air-breathing mammals. Some whales can stay underwater for as long as 50 minutes. No wonder they come out of there so fast.
Do you know what a humpback whale eats?
Anything it wants, I would say.
Yes, but mostly plankton, really tiny crustaceans, which means they gotta work hard every day.
The city of Glendale was the first sweepstakes trophy winner in the 1924 Rose Parade. And this year they win the Mayor's Trophy for most outstanding city entry.
Now, anybody who lives in Southern California probably recognizes that as the theme from medieval times.
Oh, do I love these next horses coming up. Coming up are the incredible Andalusian stallions. Originally bred by the Spaniards, they are so proud and so majestic. These 15 Andalusians are part of the group representing the medieval times dinner and tournament in Buena Park. These were the war horses taken by Hannibal from Iberia back across the Alps. Now, we've all seen Andalusians stand on their hind legs and leap in the air. Well, originally, the stallions were trained to do so they could kick out at the enemy from behind. These horses have superior intelligence, and they were used as war horses. They were taught defensive and offensive battle tactics. And today, they're one of the most pleasant and beautiful horses alive, and certainly one of the most expensive. You know what you can do? You can take a look at an Andalusian. Now, you see that gray horse there? That gray horse will eventually turn white. As they get older, they lose that charcoal gray. So you can see the older horses are the white horses.
Oh, yes.
Their colors change. This horse, as I was saying before those trumpeteers interrupted me,
Yes.
they were taught to jump up on their hind legs and then kick out from behind at the enemy, which I think is a magnificent
Indeed.
story.
And I'm sure the crowd loves the horses, but at the moment they are applauding the trumpeters.
Oh, I know.
They've got a great pair of lungs, you see, each of them, and so they're appreciated.
It's a battle of the bands to the equestrians.
Uh-huh.
Bo Derek is one of the top Andalusian trainers and riders in Southern California, and that's where actually I got most of my information about this magnificent horse.
The Burbank Tournament of Roses Association brings us medieval adventure. The float depicts chess games with a chess game with kings, queens, knights, bishops, pawns. The playing pieces were inspired by 14th century medieval tapestries. Over 30 volunteers work all year to raise money and to construct this float. Look at the hours in that one moment. In a program called Backyards of Burbank, residents grow the flowers and other organic materials used on the float. And this year they grew statice, ivy, mums, pepper tree leaves, gladiolas, oranges, lemons, and kumquats. And Cal Poly student Doug Gamble designed a new chassis for their float this year. It's 3 times the size of their old one, which was about 20 years old. Burbank has a new chassis.
I think that the parade this year is probably doesn't have as many of the big stunt kind of floats, but it's so majestic this year, and there's so much detail. Yeah,
yes, that's right.
When we saw the floats the first time, we noticed that everything was so magnificently done this year.
Meticulous. I love the figures on the chessboard. They're beautifully made.
That doesn't mean to say there isn't animation coming, because there is.
We're happy to thank GTE and Chevrolet, by the way, for helping to make this telecast possible. Who are these folks?
Well, in the 1800s, there were a group of men who made their living searching out and capturing the outlaws of the Old West. These men were known as bounty hunters, and they're being represented today by the Norco Desperados. All of our riders today are dressed in the authentic 1870s style. Their tack, clothing, and guns are authentically reproduced or are originals from circa 1870s. The Norco Desperados have been active in the DAR program, which is a drug abuse program. They also entertain the mentally handicapped children. And once again, one of those equestrian groups that really provide a service to the community. It's a beautiful day in Southern California. Temperatures are supposed to be to the mid-70s. Probably one of the warmest days that I can remember.
I think so.
For doing this New Year's Day parade.
We could have worn our swimsuits.
You could have.
No, I don't own a swimsuit. But if I did, I could wear it into a Cal Spa, which seems to be coming right behind these horses.
What a transition.
Didn't even mean to do it.
There's no end to your limitations.
Greg Jenkins and Tom Neighbors of Bravo Productions have put together a float entitled Escape to Paradise. It's quite beautiful, and it's Cal Spa's first entry.
Oh, and you're going to hear the crowd yell, because guess who's up there?
Who?
Los Angeles Laker great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is riding on this float.
A tropical paradise coming to life as children and exotic animals enjoy the setting. And there he is. Youngsters have joined him from his underprivileged student program.
And listen to this audience. They love this man. The flamingos are covered with pink and peach flat petals. Palm trees are made with palm fronds. But what the audience is yelling at is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Oh, yes.
This is quite something for Cal Spa, who began in Southern California 15 years ago. It's now the world's largest spa manufacturer, and it has really put together a beautiful entry.
You know, you can spend $200,000 putting flowers on a float, but put Kareem up there and he'll steal the show. Cal Spa began in Southern California 15 years ago with a single store, and here they are with their Escape to Paradise.
From Glendale, Arizona, here is the Deer Valley High School Skyhawk Marching Band.
Stay tuned for a special encore of the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade immediately following this telecast right here on Channel 5.
Bob Eubanks, Stephanie Edwards. This, the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade. Happy New Year, happy 1994. We hope it's a wonderful year for you. Over 1 million people have lined Colorado Boulevard today. And of course, later today at the Rose Bowl, it's the Wisconsin Badgers and the UCLA Bruins fighting it out. Ought to be a good football game.
This band from Glendale, Arizona has paused to play for a very appreciative crowd here. The Deer Valley High School Skyhawk Marching Band. We've had so many Superior Award-winning bands in the parade this year. And the work they go to get here is astonishing. You know, they have car washes and sell pizzas and so many other efforts in order to pay for the privilege of being here.
Now, Steph, I want to mention something. For the second consecutive year, FTD will be recycling roses from virtually all of the 1994 Tournament of Roses Parade floats. And they're going to create a potpourri for the benefit of the Children's Miracle Network.
Yes, and you can buy the potpourri, I think, sometime after, say, the middle of this month at FTD Florist Shops. So you can contribute going in and asking for a package of potpourri from the Rose Parade. It's a good way of recycling.
Sure is.
Over Easy is the name of La Cañada Flintridge's float in this year's parade. Now, these sweethearts look like they could be in for some trouble. They are teetering on the brink of a waterfall in their canoe. The crowd loves it. Although our friends in the canoe seem to be in quite a predicament here, the two amorous skunks on the back are oblivious to the canoe's pending peril.
My youngest son, Corey, his two Doberman pinchers, got involved with a skunk the other night, and they came into the house and rubbed themselves all over the bed. The animation of this float is controlled by a multi-channel computer. Almost 150,000 flowers, including chrysanthemums, roses, iris stems, glad petals, carnations, went into the making of this entry.
Now, the idea for this float came from Lynn Horstemeyer, who said her adventurous river rafting experience provided inspiration for the design. She felt it would go well with this year's parade theme, Fantastic Adventure. The La Cañada Flintridge float is one of those built entirely by volunteers, and it is a real source of community pride there.
And coming up next is a versatile group of riders. These 16 individual riders from different areas of California make up the D.O. Rogers Western Group. I think it'd be fun to go over what a parade rider has to do in order to get ready for the most important parade in the world.
Yes.
Now, usually the horses are body clipped, so they won't have their fuzzy winter coat, which means they have to have a blanket on every night. They have to make sure the horses are clipped and all of the excess hair around their legs, feet, and mouth are trimmed off. Then their hooves have special dressing. They have special shoes applied so they won't slip on the downhill grade of Colorado. The tack and the saddles have to be cleaned and polished. And then you go to bed and you pray that your horse doesn't roll in the middle of the night and get all dirty again. It's up then at 2 a.m. in the morning, get the horses in the trailers, make the drive to Pasadena, and they do all of this to provide you with the entertainment and quality of a parade group. See how the horse
is holding a bouquet of roses. I can't
look at that. Now you see how short the hair is? They've all been body clipped.
Sparkly stuff all over the body and the mane.
See, they usually this time of year they have their winter coat, but they clip these horses all over and they put a blanket on them every night. And look at that little horse is carrying that.
Now, will he be concerned about having to carry that all during the parade?
No, he'll probably eat it before it's over. Isn't that something?
I've never seen that sparkly stuff used on them before.
Put a little hoop dressing on, put a little sparkle on the bottom.
You know, you and I don't clean up that good.
No, we don't.
We look kind of trashy compared to these little sweeps.
I wore sparkly stuff in my shoes one time.
Yeah, well, you won't do that again. The city of Arcadia salutes that famous east-west highway, Route 66. Begins near Ogden Avenue in Chicago. It runs through St. Louis, on to Albuquerque, and through Southern California.
Sounds like Bobby Troop.
Through Arcadia, on Huntington Drive, right through Colorado Boulevard, here in Pasadena itself. Then it goes on to South Pasadena, and it ends at Palisades Park in Santa Monica. Riding on the float is Allison Hennigan, the Arcadia Rose Queen, and her court. You know, Route 66 is so famous. It was traveled by thousands of people coming to California before interstate highways were built.
And our next float, by the way, comes to us from the city of Los Angeles. And I want to mention this because riding in front of or I should say walking alongside the float, are members of the Los Angeles City and the LA County Fire Departments. And those of us in Southern California really, really want to take our hats off to the fire departments of Southern California. And I want to make sure that we give them enough coverage because they did such an outstanding job in helping us. One of the men walking there from the county, I should say, is a captain by the name of Tom Duran. My oldest son, Trace, is an LA County fireman. And these are heroes, ladies and gentlemen, right here. They're from the Los Angeles City and the LA County Fire Departments. The float? I'm sorry, Steph, go ahead.
It is called Planting for the Future. Planting for the Future.
Working together to plan a bountiful future.
Yes.
And look at the audience stand up and applaud these firemen.
Oh, how thrilling.
What a great idea the city of LA had in featuring the firemen, too.
And they're depicting a community garden, which is really popular again now around Los Angeles. Tremendous applause for these firefighters. Thrilling. The city of Los Angeles, coincidentally, the firefighters in this school. Wonderful.
Here's a great band.
Los Angeles Unified Alderson High School Honor Band, 100 trumpets, and a lot more. Tradition for 100-mile trips. One of the largest groups in the parade, one of the most exciting.
Los Angeles Unified All-District High School Honor Band from Los Angeles.
How thrilling.
Woo! We did it.
The Tournament of Roses has done a wonderful job this year, and we have seen scorched hillsides in front of us, and yet they're beginning to turn green again already. It's going to be a wonderful year, and we're so grateful you joined us here at the beginning of 1994.
We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful 94, and we hope you'll stick with KTLA Channel 5, because our thanks go out to Diane Rumbaugh, to Marilyn Jones, to Joe Panzerano, to Rob Fiedler, our director, and to all the members of the crew at KTLA Channel 5 who give you these wonderful pictures, and most of all, that great sound, too. Steph and I are blessed. Andy Cantola, thank you very much for helping us. We want you to have a great New Year.
We'll see you next year.
Bye-bye, everybody. Happy New Year.
This has been coverage of the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade, hosted by Bob Eubanks and Stephanie Edwards, and sponsored on KTLA by Chevrolet, who invites you to see all the new cars for 1994. Coca-Cola. Have a happy and healthy New Year from your local Coca-Cola bottlers. Lucky. Happy New Year from everyone at Lucky Stores. We hope you enjoyed the parade, and we look forward to helping you save on your food bill throughout all of 1994 and for many years to come. GTE. GTE is a proud sponsor of the Tournament of Roses Parade. Southern California Edison. In the struggle to achieve energy efficiency and profitability, we believe with a little creative energy, we can have both. The Toyota dealers of Southern California, whose cars and trucks are recognized leaders in initial quality. Get more for your money and see them today. Now, stay tuned for a special encore of the 105th Tournament of Roses Parade. Next, right here on Channel 5.